Punching Up, a Nintendo podcast, is brought to you by you. If you want to learn how to support our show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Punching Up, your bi-weekly Nintendo podcast from Last Stand Media. I'm your host, Dustin. Here with me, I got the full crew, Mama Micah. We're recording on a Saturday. How's the Saturday feeling going for you?
I mean, I feel like I'm going to die, but otherwise I'm doing great. This was a really big week for us. We shipped finally all the Super Perils of Baking Collector's Edition games.
Oh my God.
So I was looking forward to a weekend with nothing to do, but this is worth it. Get this out of the way. Everyone can enjoy their, holiday weekend. But I'm feeling, stretched, a bit thin, like butter spread over too much bread, perhaps.
Sure. Absolutely.
Look at you, Bilbo.
Yeah.
I see you, Bilbo.
I realized today, I was like, I've recorded every day since Tuesday this week, which doesn't normally happen where I have this. It's just like, it's that moment like on The Office where the stars align with work for Michael Scott, where he's got to sign everything in one day. I was like, oh, well, I happen to be on Constellation. We've got this Sacred Symbols Plus, this Sacred Symbols Plus. Like, oh, and then we were doing this early, which I'm happy to do. But it's like, yeah, that's stretch. And all those Super Perils of Baking out now. I have a few boxes. I might need to send some of these to you. I have samples from when we were trying to figure out how to get these made. And I just have this random empty box here. So I could just maybe I could sell this on eBay because I saw there's some backdoor deals going on with Super Perils of Baking. So anyway, Micah, glad to see you on this Saturday. You've made it, and pretty soon we'll be chilling. Dagan, you're going away for a little bit, right? What's going on with you again?
I'm not actually.
Okay,
plans have changed. No.
Oh,
good morning.
Good morning.
I'm only like one cup of coffee deep right now, so no promises.
Sure,
but I'm going to do my best. But yeah, one of the children are sick, so
dang.
I think Colin is actually going to take a flyer and just go down to the beach by herself overnight. God bless her. That's awesome. But yeah, I think we're homebound, and I don't mind. I don't mind doing this. It's always something. I have kids. I'm an animator. I'm always working. Like I'm always doing something. I'm painting my son's room after this, actually. Mm-hmm. So there's no relaxing. This is relaxing. This is my relaxing, guys. This is it for me.
Dagan,
are you of my day?
Yeah. Dagan, are you like me where I like to travel? I like to go places and see new things, but speaking of Bilbo, there is part of me that enjoys the comforts of home that right before you leave, think, do I want to do this? I kind of comfortable right now. But then you're always, when you get back, you're like, I'm glad I did that.
Yes, that's that you said it. That's exactly right. I mean, I have a wife who loves to explore and travel and everything. And she's, again, like she's my better half with everything. She gets me out. And once I'm out there, I'm good. But I'm the type of dude, as I'm stepping out the front door, I'm already coming home. You know what I mean? I'm already thinking about when I get home, the comforts of home, what I have to do. But yeah, once I get started, I always say this, I'm a bad starter. Even 10 minutes into the trip, I'm like, all right, cool. This is cool. But you got to get me out there. I have to take those first steps first.
Absolutely. I'm happy to see you again. I got to see you yesterday. Double dose of the D.
We're double dipping.
For me. Yeah, so good to see you again on Saturday.
You too.
And last, but certainly not least, Gene Park, who's been all over these Last Stand parts. Was that like a Western thing? All over these Last Stand parks here on the interwebs. Gene Park, good morning. How are you?
I'm exhausted too. Maybe probably not as exhausted as Micah, because I've been hearing all week about her exploits shipping this stuff out, and that sounds pretty tough. But yeah, I'm pretty raw too. 4-hour podcast with Maddie and Cog, basically going over our reviews of Starfield,
right?
And then publishing Starfield, and then I also did a podcast with Lana Pierce and
cool.
Andy Cortez of Kind of Funny. So a little kind of funny LSM crossover there.
Wait, you, Alana, and Andy?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a crazy mashup. Is she
That's
affiliated with Kind of Funny, or she's just off?
No. She was just with IGN and just became her own Kind of Funny.
Very
herself,
cool, man.
Basically. Well, I mean, she works at Sony Santa Monica Studio too. So there's that.
Yeah,
that's right.
I've never met her. I've been in a lot of the same events as her, but never ended up talking to her. I met Andy once. Really nice guy. Really enjoyed meeting him. I don't know if he remembers me at all. Probably not. But yeah, good to hear that. Good to see you. You've got would you say your biggest review of the year out with I saw you were in the print once again. Congrats.
Yeah. I think the Zelda review still was bigger.
That's true. Yeah.
In terms of readership, I think still more people read the Zelda review. A ton of people read the Zelda review. But Starfield is the second most. Definitely, you can feel that people were really waiting, because as soon as I hit publish, man, people came flooding in. I saw all the readers came in. And I was like, wow, I haven't seen numbers like that in a while. Because Zelda took a while to take off, but yeah, with Starfield, people were like, oh my god, I can't wait to see what this is about.
Yeah, not to open a can of worms, but that whole review, seeing people react to those reviews, people just looking for confirmation of what they wanted to believe, positive or negative about that game. I've never seen a more painful lead up in terms of the bubble of internetness or whatever you want to say with that game. Just quite a crazy time we live in.
Yeah. I gave it a great review, but IGN and GameSpot gave it a poor review, and we're all getting, no matter what you gave it, we're all getting it from all sides. Dan Stapleton of IGN is certainly getting it the worst. I'm tired of seeing his poor face all over my timeline, saying, "Look at this Xbox bias," and it's just a face of Dan Stapleton. I'm just like, fucking god.
Yeah,
but even crazy. It's like I can't even praise Starfield without people saying you should be ashamed of liking Bethesda. I'm just like,
look at this bug that happened to me. Yeah. Why didn't you account for this specific bug? You know what I mean? Stuff like that. It's dumb. But Gene, I'm happy to have you here on this beautiful Saturday morning, and happy to have all of you, the listeners out there. If you're listening to this, there's a good chance, but not necessarily, that you're on patreon.com/laststandmedia, which is where you can get early access to this show 3 days early. If you're on Patreon, you get it on Tuesday. But if you're on free feeds, you can get it on Friday. That's cool too. So if you want to join us over there, like I said, early access and access to all of our other shows like Sacred Symbols Plus, the Defining Duke Ultimate, Knockback, Constellation. There's so much stuff at that $5 tier. I can't recommend it enough. And also, if you want to help us out, make sure, I didn't mention this the last few weeks, leave us a nice rating and review, just because we are still in the process of growing the show. We're looking for any kind of interaction. Leave a YouTube comment. But here's the thing. When I made out the call for YouTube comments in the past, some people being a little cheeky, just saying comment, in the comments, or I'm leaving a comment to help the algorithm.
Let's 2009. Come on, guys.
I don't want to be a choosy beggar in this situation, but
I see what
you can just say like, wow, Dagan's had a great shirt on this episode. And then that'd be truthful. And it kind of could, just let's get a little creative with this. Maybe something. You could even, I was going to say you could be mean, but don't do that. That's, we don't need any reinforcing negative people on YouTube comments. So Micah, I meant to read this as part of your intro, but I was curious. This is from Rob Pursglove, who says, "Hi, Brickfisters. I have a question for Micah. How does she feel about Colin being branded the Glizzy Gobbler, the Glizzy Champ, and the Gliz Wizard during an episode of Sacred Symbols? Colin has no qualms with this and seems to accept his new title willingly. Thanks for all you do for the show." I didn't want to just lead off with a question about Colin. People do that a lot on streams, ask me about Colin. I'm like, yeah, I get it. But I did feel like this maybe warranted a response, that I crowned Colin the Glizzy Gobbler. Yes. I don't know if you ever heard this, if he had any kind of reaction to this in private that you could reveal. It's a heavy crown
Hey, honey,
bear.
I'm the glizzy gobbler now.
Yeah.
Okay, no, you want to know what happened, Dustin?
Yeah.
Was that we had a pool party at Uncle Mike's house recently, and Colin was, talking to the young people, our nephews, about glizzy and what it meant, and how he was so surprised he'd never heard of it before.
Yeah.
And they're just like, yeah, Uncle Colin's a hot dog, but like that's all he talked about was the fact that his astonishment of not knowing what that meant. And of course, I was like, why didn't you just ask me? Because then I started talking about
word. Stop it. That
no, I
has
was
to
like,
be-
remember when Obama was the glizzy champ? I was like, doesn't anyone remember Obama eating a hot dog and everyone was saying he was the
not a
glizzy
word.
gobbler? Like, and he was like, I don't remember that. It's like, well, I remember that. It was a huge thing. So that was really his focus was less about himself being crowned champion and more about he was just so stunned he'd never heard of it before.
Yeah,
sure.
I feel like it's a prank that the whole world is pulling on me and Colin right now. Like that word, you guys just made that up. Just be honest.
I
How do we
only
never hear
know
of
about
this?
this word because I live in DC, so and that's where glizzy originated. Right?
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was a New England thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
Because there's a great place called Ben's Chili Bowl, and they make great hot dogs.
Interesting.
Ben's Chili Bowl, when there were riots in DC, everybody would always leave Ben's Chili Bowl alone. It's always like a peace offering. Like, okay, cops, people, just leave that place alone. That's where we'll just hang out to like eat and grab a soda and just like chill out in between like fighting each other. And then that's where you get your glizzies.
Yeah.
I haven't really heard the term until recently, until I saw it really pop off on TikTok though. And then I was like, oh yeah, that's right. They're called glizzies.
We looked it up on Sacred, and apparently it was originally a term for a Glock.
Yeah.
And then it got converted to a hot dog.
Yeah, because it's all phallic symbols, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So. Oh yeah. Well, I'm glad we got that cleared up. That's important. One other thing I wanted to clear up that will make this entertaining through a question. This comes from Andres Blanco. Mostly for Dustin. Do you plan on doing some vlogs or guides to buying in Japan? This might be interesting content either here, since I assume most of us are collectors like yourself, or in your personal YouTube channel. Would love to go to Japan and do some shopping myself, and some condensed information from one of our trusted brickfisters would be amazing. Keep the episodes coming. So yeah, I wanted to give everybody a warning, or something, I guess something to look forward to. I won't be here. Next episode, I'll be in Japan. So Gene is going to be taking the reins as the host for that episode. So I want to give you guys heads up for that. And I was thinking, we have a lot of audio listeners, but I got to film a little thing in Nintendo World and like insert it into the episode or something.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
The way it will line up, it'll have to be the episode after next based on the time that I'm going to Nintendo World. But we'll figure out something. I'm definitely planning on definitely shooting some stuff, even though I'm there purely for pleasure, not actually work.
Maybe it could be a Punching Up Plus episode. Where we just watch the family movie of Dustin in Japan.
going to Japan.
Yeah. And react to it,
And riff. We'll riff.
That's right.
Riff, yeah.
I'm going to hit all the Nintendo hotspots as far as in Kyoto and Nintendo World and the Nintendo Store. They have multiple Nintendo stores. They have one in Shibuya and in Osaka. So definitely we'll be checking those out. But I just want to give everybody a heads up. Next episode will be a little different, but I'm sure you guys will do just fine, probably better without me here. So with that all being said, guys, I think we're ready to get into the main topic of this show. And that's going to be the Super Mario Bros. Wonder Direct. We got this straight from Nintendo. And I think that now that this Direct has been announced and has come out, all the pieces of the puzzle, I feel like, have aligned. We got the information, breaking news on the last episode about Charles Martinet no longer being the voice of Mario. And now it kind of makes sense because they were probably just trying to get ahead. They're thinking people are already kind of sniffing around our last trailer, thinking that doesn't sound like him. And once we do this Direct and people get hands-on with the game, we probably should just, tell people now before there's too much speculation, which I think makes sense. But yeah, we got this awesome Direct, which was kind of it's a classic Nintendo single game Direct style deep dive into the game of all the different features that you can expect. And we'll get into those, but let's do high level thoughts initially about, gut check about how we're feeling about the game. Micah, I'll start out with you. How did you like this Direct?
Yeah, this got me more excited for the game I definitely want to try this out. I am normally very awful at platformers. So I just am very aware that I'm probably not going to finish, a Mario game, for example. They're just usually quite difficult for me. But I really want to try this one out. This gave me more inspiration, seeing all the power-ups and everything, the cute little talking flowers. I don't know. This got me just more hyped about the game than I already was.
Yeah, it's dude, the talking flowers. We'll touch on that, but I'm curious if that's going to be a little annoying. But Dag, how are you feeling about this? Well, I guess you and Gene both. I played the earlier Mario games closer to release, but you guys were there from the beginning, and this is a long lineage to have another 2D Mario. How are you feeling about this?
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm genuinely excited. I mean, the Direct, I think it really proved out a lot. I mean, new world, right? New characters, new mechanics times like 100. So much variety. But you know what I was struck by? The overall presentation was just there's so much seemingly stuffed in to this game. It's like a crammed triple decker sandwich. Like I felt like the Direct was very like hold my beer on Nintendo's part. Like now we're putting out a 2D platformer and look at everything we've packed into this thing. I feel like it could have half the content and still be amazing. Like I couldn't believe how much there is in this. That was the thing I was really struck by. It looks beautiful and it looks so fun, but it's so jammed packed of new mechanics and new content. I was almost overwhelmed by the variety. I watched the treehouse of a little bit of gameplay, and I was like, this game is a proper new, brand new mainline Mario game as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I thought is that we've had new Super Mario Bros., and there's new power-ups and a new art style for those, but this feels more like a new Super Mario Bros. Than new Super Mario Bros. Did in a way, just with, like you said, the amount of things that they're adding to it. Gene, I'll throw this to you, but I need a direct response. In the trailer, I believe I heard Daisy say "Wowie Zowie" at one point, and I wanted to know, as a Daisy fan, how that made you feel.
It's so hot, dude. I love her so much.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that ever since I was a kid, like, Princess Peach was like the ideal woman, right? Because she was like the first woman that I encountered in media, So like I always thought of Peach as like the idealized woman, like some people would think of like Barbie as like the ideal woman or whatever,
sure.
Right? The ideal conventional woman. And then I saw Daisy, and I was just like, oh, that's the one,
Girl, what are you doing? That's what you said.
Yeah, exactly. She got a little darker skin. I like darker hair too. So I was like, oh, like, even though Peach is like the ideal woman, like Daisy is actually like more like my type, my individual type of woman.
Sure.
So, to see her turn into an elephant,
Oh, yeah, that's.
I was like, what's up, Daisy? What does that trunk do?
What's it do? Yeah.
What's it do?
So
can it gobble the glizzies?
Yeah. Dude, there's a part in this trailer where they're detailing all the enemies. I can't remember his name. They're like, he'll suck up anything in front of him. I was like, you sure about that? You sure about that?
Did you guys notice they revised the Direct and changed some of the narration and the wording? Because
really?
Yes, they changed some stuff that was like that, Dust. I'm glad you reminded me of this. There was a few instances where I was like, they changed that because I think they felt like it was a little bit, double entendre or whatever was going on with it.
This enemy will suck you dry, like stuff like that. It's like, oh, take it easy, Nintendo. But Gene, other than the Daisy stuff, how'd you feel overall about the presentation before us?
Yeah, well, you asked about being there at ground zero for 2D Super Mario's, and you also mentioned how this looks like a real proper 2D Super Mario. Yeah, I haven't really felt this way about a 2D Mario since the original New Super Mario Brothers for the Nintendo DS. I forget what year that even came out. That was like the early aughts, and that was when I felt like, oh yeah, the new Super Mario Bros. Looks like it's a proper return to the classics. And then they kept coming out with more. I'm just like, okay, we're obviously very tired of this formula. So it's nice to finally see it shaken up. And yeah, as Dagan said, there was just a lot more features than I expected. It does give me vibes. I said this before, but it gives me vibes of Super Mario World, where they're going to get a little wacky with it. They're obviously not in the Mushroom Kingdom, so it gives them an excuse to like do all kinds of weird things.
Oh yeah, there's I wrote down just some of the random gameplay elements that we can go over or just kind of acknowledge. First of all, the whole part with Bowser becoming the castle at the beginning is just, there's something that Nintendo's able to do where they're able to do something that is just silly enough that you're like, what the fuck are you doing? Bowser is morphing with a castle. That's just perfect. That I love that they're able to do. And also shout out to the little Prince boy. I'm a big fan of him. Very, very cute. But just as far as some of the other gameplay stuff, they were talking about how normally in Mario games, it's very linear, go to the next level. Sometimes you have a few options, but they show that there's ways that, you know, if one level's too tough, you can kind of jump around to different levels amongst certain sections. And I want to see what you guys thought of this, is that they have all these characters, right? You can play as, let's see, Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, a few different Toads.
Blue Toad is back.
Blue Toad, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yoshi, which I think there's multiple colors of Yoshi as well. And then Nabbit as well. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing, is that Yoshi and Nabbit are they're the Funky Kong of this game. And actually, let me get in. There was a write-in about this from Tanner Brandt, who says, "Hey, gang, while watching the Super Mario Bros. Wonder Direct, I was super excited to see that Yoshi was playable, as he's my boy. And it's great. He has a unique moveset with the flutter jump and tongue action. Oh. However, I was disappointed to hear that he's basically the easy mode character, not taking damage from enemies and only dying to falls. Kind of like the Funky Kong character in the Donkey Kong Tropical Country. He wrote this weird. The Donkey Kong game.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of Nintendo making the easy mode a character instead of a toggle in the options?" So yeah, this makes sense to me. It is a little disappointing because I think that, our little thief boy, what's his name again? Nabbit, is super cool. And I like playing as Yoshi, but I also don't want to play easy mode. But I get it that you can kind of tell a kid, they don't have to feel like they're stepping down to easy mode. They just pick a different character. So how do you guys feel about this? I don't like the writing said, this isn't the first time Nintendo has done something like this.
Yeah.
So
I like the idea of establishing difficulty level through character selection. I think it's really cute. But of course, Yoshi fans are going to be upset because the character's nerfed. Why not leave Yoshi intact as a regular character with the added ability to be a steed and use the tongue and everything like that? But have baby Yoshi be the nerfed one, right? Have little, and then, there's something hilarious about Elephant Daisy riding baby Yoshi. Like, that's hilarious. That's so funny. Yeah. So why not just put baby Yoshi in there? Because Nabbit's the same thing. They lumped him into that difficulty thing of can't die, subject to pitfalls and everything like that, but can't die the conventional way. So I thought that would be an interesting way to make Yoshi fans happy. But I do like the mechanic of having the difficulty, because it makes younger players feel like big kids. Right, like they're just, and that's how you learn the game and get better at it, and in a way that's not so artificial, I guess.
Yeah, I was like, man, you're doing the different colors of Yoshi. What if the different colors were different modifiers? Like, hey, if you play as the red Yoshi, you are subject to damage, or something like that. Just somewhere where you kind of meet people in the middle. It's like, hey, you can get the tongue action, as the write-in mentioned. You get the tongue action, but you still can be damaged. So that would be kind of like a nice happy medium or something like that. Yeah. So
I like it.
Any other thoughts about these characters? Micah or Gene, do you feel strongly about Nabbit? Do you know this man in any way?
Oh, no, he's super cute, right? I mean, half of this direct was just me writing, this is very cute. Like Prince Florian, when they showed him, I wrote, Prince Florian is very cute and I would die for him. That's the first note that I wrote. I don't love that they tied the difficulty to the character itself. I I don't know. It just feels like also a missed opportunity too. They're like, all the characters play the same except for Yoshi and Nabbit. I'm like, that also could have been its own thing of like Luigi could have been hard mode because his run is a little bit different. His jump's a little bit
A
different.
little slippery. Yeah.
Well, exactly. It's like you could have honestly taken the idea further and then maybe I would have appreciated it more. But instead, it's like all these characters are exactly the same except for this one and it's easy mode. It is a little bit of a disappointment. I mean, I'll probably use it because I'm not going to be very good at the game, but I'd rather be able to switch it to easy mode and play as Peach, who's my favorite, than be like, all right, if I want to get through this level, I have to play as Yoshi type thing. But I don't know. I like that they included that. I just don't love how they did it.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I wish that there was a way I could just, dude, I love Yoshi a lot. And so I would love to be able to, I guess that you still have the experience where you get to ride on Yoshi in the game, dude. And they showed Yoshi riding Yoshi, which is always a delight. Apparently that also happened in one of the previous Yoshi games on Switch. So that's like, some people are calling people out like, this isn't a new thing. They did this in the last Yoshi game.
I realized that.
Yeah. Which, dude, here's the thing, because there's Poochie also in the Yoshi games, which Holly once, when she was playing it, she's like, Poochie is Yoshi's Yoshi. But now Yoshi is Yoshi's Yoshi. So it's a wild times that we live in here. But
it is a missed opportunity, though, right? Micah's right. Like, why did they have all these playable characters? We're finally getting to play as Daisy, right? Like, why not sort of fold in that Super Mario 2 mechanic where it's like, who jumps a little higher, who jumps a little further, who's quicker, who's stronger with picking up power-ups? What's Daisy going to bring to the table, right? That's a missed opportunity to make them all exactly. So it's like choose your favorite in terms of who's your favorite to look at, right? But that's because a game that has so much, why not just go that extra step and just give us that? I was
going to say that maybe they're planning for DLC, but then also, I do maybe think that they just balanced the game around Mario and his abilities, and they just didn't really think about.
It makes sense.
About balancing the whole game around several different characters too.
And there's badges with so many power-ups. Like there's going to be insane.
I think Ryan makes a good point that it would be cool to just have it as a toggle, so you can just play. Like wouldn't it be cool to play as Mario in easy mode, right? You can play as the main character. That'd be fun. But Dustin, you also bring up a good point. I bet they thought of that feeling of like, oh man, I gotta knock it down to easy mode, and we're gonna play all these characters. Versus like, no, you just play, the kids will play, or, the babies will play Yoshi and Nabbit, I don't like saying Nabbit though, because it sounds vaguely racist,
Yeah, if you say that with the right inflection, people are going to definitely like,
hey there, you say? Nabbit,
Yeah.
Just like, oh, man.
What'd you say, punk?
20 years later, people are going to find this clip and they're like, I can't believe they said Nabbit.
Yeah, they were saying Nabbit left and right. Yeah. And they just, how could they do that?
Yeah.
We're just a time and place thing,
Yeah.
Let's talk about those.
It's just a different time,
It's a different time in,
like
in
70s,
podcasting. Let's talk about those badges, because this was one of the parts that I thought looked extremely cool, and that you can collect these different badges that are gameplay modifiers. Some of the ones I just listed a few here. There's like an increased wall jump climb thing that you can do. There's a grappling hook that you can use, which I thought really cool. There's something that makes you swim faster with a dolphin kick. And I thought that these sounded awesome because it just it adds so much replay value. Be like, hey, I'm going to play through this level again, and I'm going to use the grappling hook like I'm the Doom Slayer in Doom Eternal. Only I'm flying around the Mario level. So, Gene, these gameplay modifiers, I think these are an excellent addition. I'm really excited about.
Yeah, that's what makes me think that they balance the game around those powers versus balancing it around different characters, because that's where you get your different powers, and every character can do any of that. So I feel like that's what they engineered all the levels and the game around these different badges. I love the badges. I was super surprised. I was not expecting equipment to be in a 2D Mario game. And that's fascinating. That it goes back to what Dagan was saying, that there's so much stuff in this game, to the point where I was just like, there's just like layers and layers of powers and like stuff happening. There's the regular flower powers, and then there's like, the elephant powers, and then there's this equipment stuff, and then there's the wonder mechanic. There's so much stuff and variables that can go on. Yeah, I you know what? The more I talk about it, the more I totally get why the other characters are just standardized, and because there's just so much to account for.
Yeah,
And it kind of goes to Nintendo's new philosophy of like offering a lot of the play tools at the beginning of the game or to everyone. Kind of like a link between worlds, and how Link would just get every tool right at the beginning of the game, and you can just play around with it. I don't know how you get these badges, but eventually you're gonna get them all, and then you'll just be able to play and do all kinds of stuff. I'm excited to check
yeah.
it out.
My hope for some of these badges, I would imagine this is the case. They remind me of skulls in Halo 2 and 3, which you could turn on. They were like big gameplay modifiers. Some of them make the game easier, but I would like to see some that make the game harder as well. Like, just like, hey, I've got this modifier on that makes Mario slightly smaller or something, so you have to play the game different. Or maybe you have half the amount of time in a level when you have this modifier on, but you get extra coins or something. Like, I think there's a lot of potential in these badges for sure. So before I move on, Dagan, do you have any badge stuff you want to touch on, or Micah, whatever? Just want to make sure before we
Micah, do you want to go first?
Oh, sure. I just want to say totally agree about replayability. That's just something I really value as an adult, purchasing my own games, of course, and also thinking about buying games like for my nephews and such as presents. That adds a whole new layer of, like you have these water levels. Now you add on the dolphin kick. It's a little bit more fun. It was just neat things like that. Or yeah, you have the grappling hook now. It's easier to explore maybe the upper levels of a stage. I am just all about that and how much more, replay time it can add to an experience. And that value can't be understated in this economy that we're living in. I want to get the most out of my games. And I know my sister, for her kids, wants them to get the most out of their games.
Yeah. So Dagan, I want to throw this to you too, but just to comment on what Mike is saying, I always think it's funny when people see Mario trailers and stuff like this. They're like, oh, well, this will be a 10 out of 10 because it's Mario. But if any other developer made it, it would, people wouldn't care. Shut the fuck up. When I hear stuff like that, it makes me so mad. And I understand this might be the most blatant Nintendo fanboy thing I'll say on this show, but it's like, dude, there's a reason why Nintendo games sell millions of copies and why they're cut above the rest often. Not always, but often. It's because they do stuff. They really design and engineer these things to be immaculate. Not always, but often, like really cool stuff. So in this badge thing, I think that there's so much room for stuff like that. So that's a little bit of a side, but Dagan, badges.
Not at all. I mean, I get that sentiment. I mean, look, it all comes down to the fun. This game looks like it's going to be so fun. There's no way now, as much as we know, that this game isn't going to be a blast to play. And with Nintendo, it's quality, right? It's sort of exquisite execution. Like, it's going to be the most fluid platforming experience you could have. We know that already going in. I mean, of all the stuff, and there's so much stuff, it looks like, just from this 20 minutes that we got, there's two things I'm impressed with the most, or looking forward to the most. The Wonder Flowers, I think, are awesome, having this sort of roulette wheel randomized power-up thing that just kind of chaos ensues when you get it, which I think is really cool. So you never know what you're getting, so there's always that replayability of, and that dynamic of sort of curiosity, but also just anything could happen and you have to adjust, which is kind of fun in a Mario game. And then with the badges, it's easy, right? It's like they took every great classic 2D platforming mechanic from history and put it into this game, and they Marioized it. The grappling hook is a vine, adorable, But again, like, not just the variety and the fact that you'll be able to buy some badges from the Poplin shop and some are achievement based and stuff like that. So there'll always be stuff to strive for in the game and to get. But the fact that there's so many and it just looks like it's going to be fun to do, like the jet run, the invisibility looks a little more difficult but it'll be probably useful to wield once you get used to it, a little bit more difficult. The coin sensor, but the dolphin kick, the crouching high jump, a nod to Doki Doki Panic, like my favorite.
Oh yeah.
Right. So, and just, that's the other thing too. Like, you can already tell there's like reverent nods to past Mario, but it's new, it's evolved. And I think I October 20th can't get here soon enough, and I'm in hook, line, and sinker.
I hope that one of these badges, you were mentioning about how you introduce old NES game mechanics. Hopefully we can give Mario a katana, like Ninja Gaiden or something like that, and he can slice someone up. Dude, Mario with a katana, we've seen Mario with a gun.
I'm in.
From the Mario Rabbids games, even though it was kind of like a laser gun. We need Mario now with a katana. Let's just, Nintendo, think about that. Something to think about. One last thing that I really want to touch on here, just because it was a big part of the Direct, is that they have introduced Dark Souls style multiplayer to Mario, like straight up, totally Dark Souls style, or From Software, whatever you want to say, multiplayer with a few different elements here. First of all, you'll be able to see the player shadows, which they said are live, where you can see other players playing the level at the same time as you.
So crazy.
You can leave messages for people, which is, again, like to a T, a Dark Souls thing. You can share items with people, which made me think, is this another Strand multiplayer game that Kojima said there would be more Strand style games? So like Death Stranding, you're helping out the community alongside you. And then, of course, there's like more traditional stuff. There's this, split screen, local multiplayer. You can create a room where you're playing the game with friends, take on bosses together, stuff like that. But in particular, it was the Dark Souls style stuff. And so, Gene, I'll throw this to you first. Did you immediately, like me, think like, oh, they're taking a page out of From's book here with this?
I was like, oh, this is Death Stranding too.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Yeah, Mark Wonder is Death Stranding too.
Yeah, I actually thought this was a clever way to do the multiplayer. I actually was kind of a little surprised that I think I don't know. I guess I'll have to try it out and see how it looks. But it looks like a clever way to do multiplayer, and without, I feel like they took the feedback of the other new Super Mario Brothers games and how people always got mad at each other, and I think they really took that to heart, and they don't want the experience for friends to get mad at each other. Mm-hmm. So this is their compromise, because if you play 4-player new Super Mario Brothers, it always turns into a competition, and they kind of they did that in the last game where you have to get the crown if you're getting the most points, and this one I think they kind of peeled that back, seems like.
Yeah. Dagan, is multiplayer Mario Wonder going to be happening in the Moriarty home in October?
That's a good question, because you know me. I'm like Kyle. It's like I don't care about the multiplayer thing. Video games are for me. I'm such an old man with that kind of stuff. But how can you ignore it? It's so clever that they have it in there. I like that little standee mechanic they put in, so you could help players anywhere in the world by just providing checkpoints, especially for difficult levels. That's really cute.
Yeah, and
it's important to I have a 13-year-old. Like, it's important to these kids. I'm wondering if I could get my 13. He just turned 13 yesterday, so he's too cool for everything, right? Mm-hmm. And God forbid Mario, like that's baby shit now. So I'm wondering if this game could be good enough to even get, and fun enough to get a 13-year-old. That'll be the test, because old grown nerds like us, we're way past that. Like we're 4-year-olds when it comes to just the joy we derive from this stuff, right? And kids are going to be fine, but let's see if Nintendo could get these teenagers with the chips on their shoulder and everything like that. That's going to be. Listen, I'm going to be the only one playing this in my house. Let's just be honest right now. It's just going to be me. And you know what? Screw everybody else. I'm going to enjoy the hell out of it.
Mike, I don't know how familiar you are with the Souls multiplayer message mechanic, but do you think we could get a tri-tongue butthole message in this game like we do for the Souls game, something like that? I think this could be... it looks pretty safe in the things that they've done, but I was thinking, if Holly's getting this game too, she's not very good at platforms. You guys can co-op together for this. Maybe that's one of your entry points for this.
Yeah, absolutely. Because my first reaction to multiplayer is, that's probably not for me. Who wants to play a game like that, with me as their teammate? I'm horrible. But yeah, 2 people who are just mutually bumbling around and just having fun with it. That does sound great. That does sound like a good time. This does remind me, though, of like people, he had like the little sketch thing in like Splatoon 2, and sometimes people draw like really detailed like images and stuff, or like I don't know, people leave like sort of disturbing memes of like help, I'm trapped in my house, like just random stuff like that. I am very curious to see what the community leaves for messages, around like Nintendo's censors. People get pretty creative with Splatoon. So I am looking forward to seeing that.
I worry about it, honestly.
Gene had low-key celebrity status on Splatoon for a minute at launch. I remember I wasn't friends with Gene on Switch, but I saw your post in my Splatoon thing. So Nintendo said, hey, you're the one. And they put you out for pretty much, I saw a lot of people were doing that, right?
Oh, wow.
I don't know, did they select yours to promote to everybody who's playing Splatoon 3 at launch? Because I saw a lot of people saw it, right?
I'm trying to remember if I had Splatoon 3 for review, and did I just have it early?
Oh, maybe you had the early. Maybe you put something out beforehand.
I don't think I had it early though. I think I just like as soon as the game came out, I just wanted to post something real quick, and then that's what happened.
One last thing in this direct that is definitely worth pointing out is that there is a new Mario OLED Switch. They always say OLED in these directs.
What is that?
Well, dude, they do that. And the other thing is that at the beginning, they say more information about the Super Mario Brothers Wonder game. It's always and then the name of the game, and then they say game at the end.
Yeah, that's interesting.
They always
OLED
do that.
is patented by, like, if Samsung has OLED and they can't
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know, but Dennis Reha wrote in about this and said, hey, all, just wanted to say something about the new Mario-themed Switch OLED model. WTF? Why do this now? The new Nintendo system comes out next year. Also, full price Nintendo? Really? Dennis, I'm just shocked that you're surprised by this. This is Nintendo 101. This is like, they haven't announced a new Switch. As far as the public statement is, there is no new Switch coming. Currently, This is it. Buy it now.
No, don't even think about a new Switch. What are you talking about?
Yeah. So,
what do you mean you only have one Switch? Buy another one. Be like me. Be like Gene Clark and own 6 of them, for fuck's sake.
Gene, is this the 7th Switch in the collection? No, not good enough.
Because the problem is it's just red. That's it. Like, they put coins behind I wish they put the coins in the fucking front and not like behind the back, with the outlet. But like it's a neat design. Put in the coins in the back. Why don't but behind the casing? Why don't they just put it on the front? Why isn't it a different color? Why is it the same red Joy-Cons? It's crazy.
It's also the last Mario Switch, the front of it was red too.
Yeah.
And it was pretty unique because it was the first, I want to say, correct me, comments if I'm wrong, but it was the first Switch that the shell itself was a different color.
The actual console was red.
Actual console, not just the dock and the Joy-Cons. But
that's cool, I guess,
Yeah. But I think that it's just the back half on this one, that the front half of the screen is not, well, obviously the screen would be red, but you know what I mean? The bezel isn't red.
Right.
It's a little, not quite as cool, but yeah, I'm not surprised Nintendo would be like, yeah, buy a Switch right now. Of course they're going to do that.
Makes sense, guys. We might be a year away from Switch 2. I hate calling it that, right? So one last, sort of generational hardware cash grab. I don't know, guys. Am I the only one in the world who's like, I don't know, maybe, because my kids ran away with the existing OLED.
OLED.
And I don't know. I don't know, Gene. I kind of like the coins hidden in the back. It's elegant. There's something about it. I was like, shit. When I first saw it, I was like, God damn it. I like that. Like the little Mario in the front, very elegant. Then the coins hidden in the back. I don't know. There's just something about it. This is why Nintendo's dangerous. This is why it's a toxic relationship. Because it gets you. Something just grabs you, and it didn't grab you guys. But for me, I'm just like, I don't know, maybe. Is the red, let me ask you this question. Is that a new shade of red? Because the red is gorgeous looking, I feel like. Maybe it's just a photo.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I know they did. So there's like the red Joy-Con that comes with the split that was the standard Joy-Con.
Sure.
But this is different. This is like a Mario red. That when they did those red Joy-Cons, I believe they were only released with the old Mario Switch.
Yeah.
So you will be getting some console-only Joy-Cons, which are Dagan, you have all the justification you need.
I'm gonna
if your kids took the other one, I mean, just do it, man.
I'm just gonna get it. Screw it.
Just get it. Mike, I'm guessing this isn't tempting you at all to join the OLED gang.
It honestly was, though, because as soon as they announced it, here's the thing. I can't, because we know it's coming, right? Like, we know that a new Switch is coming. But like Nintendo, like you said, Dustin, like to them, there's no new Switch. It's like for the people who like Avatar: The Last Airbender, there's like that town where they're like, there's no war here, and it's like, but they're just like hypnotizing everybody. And it's like, no, that's Nintendo. There's no new Switch coming. Buy this one. And I'm honestly tempted, partly because it's red. And I love red, all my kitchen stuff is red, for example. I do just think it looks really cool. I am a little disappointed, though, about some of the cool features that are hidden. Like, I wouldn't mind if it was a little more whimsical. I wouldn't mind if they put gold coins as a border around the front of the dock. Like, it's almost like they were like, here's the gentleman's Switch, right?
It's not
something
for
elegant
kids.
for the bedroom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kids will hate this one. Kids will hate this.
So I'm into it, honestly. I would really like an OLED Switch, especially because Treble has once again stepped on mine, so the scratches continue. It just is like, this is a horrible time to upgrade, right? I should not be buying this, but I really do want it.
It couldn't have been any later. Like, it had to be announced right now. Like, it couldn't have been next week. Like, it was the perfect timing for like, all right, we're going out with this. If they do another one, I'd be shocked. Then we could get upset.
I also want to say, too, that like recently, one of my cousins, who's around Colin's age, I think she's like 38, 39, she asked me if she should buy her son a 3DS because her son, who is younger than 10, he must have seen one at a friend's house or something. So I have no idea otherwise how he would have known about it. But he asked for a 3DS, and I was like, I wouldn't buy one of those. Your best bet's going to be to get one used. Your games are going to be mostly used. Yeah. Like, that's an old system. Mm-hmm. And I said, and they're going to be making a new Switch soon because they love their Switch. And I was like, they're going to be making a new one of those soon. So keep an eye out for that. I don't want her to think that this is it, though, right? It's like, I almost want to send her a message and be like, just so you know, this new red one isn't what I was talking about. This is the same Switch with a different screen. Like, there will be another one. Because I don't want her to get him this for Christmas and then next year be like, what the hell, Micah? You said there was a new Switch. No, there's more.
I think it kind of goes back to the guy's point, Dennis's point about how it's the same price. Because as a Mario fan, even if I don't like the design, like I wish they had like fucking Mario's face like in the corner or something, like just like his eyeball on like the corner of his hat, just like peeking over or something. Just something cute. But they don't even do that. But as a Nintendo collector, I'd be interested. I still would be interested in buying the 7th Switch if it wasn't the same fucking price. Like if they sold it at like a pretty big discount, like I at this point. But like even if I only had like one Switch and I would want a second one, like a discount would be pretty good just as a collector's. But no, it's $350. So.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is it's $350 and then it'll never, at this point, they probably don't even ever need to discount the Switch. Maybe they will a little bit, but it's funny that Micah, you said your nephew wants a 3DS or is it a friend? I'm trying to remember.
It's the son of my cousin.
The son of your cousin. You're related somehow.
Second cousin?
Yeah. He wants a 3DS, which initially you would think, oh, that's the old console. It'll be cheaper. Nope, not in Nintendo world. And and since the shop is down now, the price of those games going up.
So tell that kid, like, if you want to be a retro collector, like fucking RGT 85 or fucking Dreamcast guy,
there are other ways.
Go get a job.
Spending hundreds of dollars. Like don't get them. Don't go down that path. Just buy them. You guys
may know this already, though. The refurb game for 2DS, 3DS, and I think 2DS XL is like a phenomenal, like direct to Nintendo refurbs.
Yeah.
Super reasonable and really high quality, like down to the packaging and the shipping and everything. That's one way of doing it, but you're still going to end up paying the same amount for games. That's the thing.
That's the thing. It's still quite the investment to get the software for it because, several years ago, I bought my pink, 3DS direct from Nintendo refurbished. It still works great. It came in like the box and everything. Like it was as if I was buying a new system. But yeah, the pricing is still pretty expensive to get even a refurbished 3DS at this point, whether you're shopping GameStop or Nintendo. And I just quickly poked around to check some pricing on, popular games he'd be interested in. And I was like, this is not worth it. Like, you do not want to buy Mario Kart for this thing. You don't want to play half these games, especially because he's a young gamer. He's not going to be playing my JRPGs that I'm going to recommend for 3DS. Games I think would be worth buying on 3DS are not what, my little cousin's going to be getting.
Right, exactly.
He just wants, the kids' games. And it's like, just play what you can on Switch. Do not try and get into this now. I mean, it really is just such an investment if you don't already have one and have a bunch of games.
Yeah. Yeah, it's man, all Nintendo hardware. It's a shame for the younger generation. And us too. If you want to get any of that stuff, it's like better. That's the thing with Nintendo. You better buy it. You should just buy it when it's available, even though it sucks. I understand. I'm also the type of person that wants to wait for a deal, but it rarely happens with Nintendo physical stuff. So
no, keeping outdated tech premium is like a move I've never even heard of outside of Nintendo. It's not even artificial collector's market. Let a couple of decades pass and then it becomes valuable, becomes sought after. Everybody threw theirs out. It's rare. They're doing it. It's like, it's a baller move, but it's aggravating as shit.
Well, and what's so weird is that, so in part of my prep for Japan, I've been seeing like game hunting videos in Japan. It's like, oh, you want Chrono Trigger in the box for Super Famicom? $25. It's like they have all this stuff and it's in pristine condition. Japan just doesn't. Obviously, they have a retro market that is good, but they don't. I don't know. It's not the same there at all. Where it's not viewed as like this like collector's piece in a way. There are collector's items, obviously, that are rare games and stuff like that, but just not the same. Which I mean, to my delight. I'm gonna, dude, I gotta get some of these games in the box for Super Famicom. I just have to.
Oh, it'd be so cool.
No matter what. So
good.
So that's it for the Super Mario Bros. Direct. We'll be, of course, covering this game more as time goes on. But October 20th, the same day as Spider-Man, as we talked about on the last episode. So looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I saw people speculating, like, why is Ryan McCaffrey of IGN and like all these influencers are in New York City, like Jeff Grubb or whatever like that, and it's like, are they looking at the new Switch? So no, they were playing Super Mario Wonder.
Right. Yeah. Now all the previews are out. I haven't seen any of those previews from anybody, but
no, me either.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. It's also playable at the Nintendo Live events in Seattle, which I was going to go to.
Right.
I changed my mind.
Yeah, that is happening this weekend right now as we record. Nintendo Live is going on.
Yeah. So I actually have an interview with Nintendo of America President Doug Bowser set to publish on Tuesday. So,
interesting.
Oh,
okay.
Sweet.
About Wonder?
A little bit about Wonder. I mean, talk a little bit about the Switch, the Switch itself, the console, and the sales. Don't worry, there's no Switch 2 news, but there's other stuff we talk about, so we'll see, and there might be some news. So we'll see.
Well, it'll be that article. If you said Tuesday, it'll be available the day the show releases on Patreon. So
yeah, there you go.
Look at that.
So so check it out if you're on Patreon. Go to WashingtonPost.com and look for me.
Check it out. Yeah. Speaking of the news, since Washington Post is news, I have our own news, which may be just as valuable as stuff in the Washington Post. It's hard to say, but let's get into some of these news items here. Dagan, this first one I put in specifically for you. A new old Rugrats game has been announced. And I say new old because this is a new game, but very clearly in an NES style. They start the trailer showing off the game in an NES box, and you can play the game, and it looks like an NES game. It's called Rugrats Adventures in Gameland. This is from Mixed Games. It's coming in 2024. And one of the cool aspects is you can play in this NES style, but you can also switch it over to this HD mode, which very much looks like the cartoon. It has co-op. And I just thought I like to see these games where they almost present it as a lost NES game. Obviously Rugrats, that would have been 90.
Yeah, 90. Yeah.
So I guess in theory, there could have been a Rugrats, a very late NES game, but I just thought this looked so charming, and I liked Rugrats a lot as a kid. I kind of grew once they started to get into all grown up and stuff like that. I was not quite as into it, but I still think about Rugrats clips to this day. I always think about Stu in the episode where Angelica has a broken leg or something, and he's mixing up the pudding in the middle of the night. He's like, I'm mixing the pudding because I've lost control of my life. Like, there's stuff like that. I think about certain parts of that show every once in a while, but I've talked enough. Dag, first of all, I'm trying to remember if you care about Rugrats. I'm sure you have connections to that show, being an animator, and how do you feel about this being a NES style game?
Yeah, I mean, Rugrats, that's an institution, man. Like, and perfect timing for 90s kids. I'm not a 90s kid. I'm an 80s kid and really a 70s kid. But Rugrats came along around the time I would finish high school, just a little bit after. So early in art school, like, I remember learning about specifically background design and animation layout vis-a-vis Rugrats, like how they showed everything from like a worm's eye perspective, from like a child's perspective, and made everything like really fisheye and make the world look really big. So had a really formative effect on artist Dagan. And, I mean, early 90s Nickelodeon is like, that's such an era for me, such a nostalgic era. And also, no one ever talks about it. Everybody associates Rugrats with Nickelodeon, but it's really an animation studio out west called Klasky Chupo that did Rugrats, and I think owns Rugrats, but they did it for Nickelodeon. So it makes me think of Klasky Chupo, which is still around, very high-end animation studio. And I don't know, maybe one of the first, later on they would do things like Monsters and Rocket Power, but like one of the first sort of highbrow, lowbrow, I don't know, like naive style, ugly art direction in animation for kids. So like really important in terms of animation. And I love the way they're kind of sort of making it kind of blend into that time period for video games. I got so many so many people were telling me about it because I hadn't heard about it on Twitter and Instagram. And I appreciate that. They keep me informed, but I'm excited. I mean, this is like, I put Rugrats right up there with Ren and Stimpy. I think about them in the same breath.
Sure.
Super important.
But you don't think about their 2000 hit As Told by Ginger, which is a show I didn't care for really at all.
How dare you? How dare you?
I wasn't a fan of As Told by Ginger, but like
you just didn't get it.
That may be the case. Did they did Wild Thornberries also?
Yes.
Dude,
Yes.
Holly and I were talking about Wild Thornberries last night because we were talking about Nigel, who's voiced by
who does his voice?
The guy that's in Rocky Horror, right?
Oh, it's Tim Curry?
Is it? Holly told me it was Tim Curry, but I want to make sure.
Actually? He seems like such a big star for that.
No, Tim Curry is the voice of Nigel Thornberry because we were talking.
Hysterical.
This is awesome. The line of thinking is I said this character in One Piece is based on the character in Rocky Horror, and then we were talking about Tim Curry, and then we were talking about
I never knew that.
Yeah, we were talking about what's the show called? Wild Thornberries.
Thornberries.
Micah, how are you feeling about Rugrats? You grew up at the same time as me, so I don't know about you. I saw the Rugrats movie in theaters. I saw Rugrats Go to Paris in theaters. I had the Rugrats Burger King watch that talked. Nice. Rugrats was a big part of my childhood, and I'm assuming for you too.
Absolutely. I was a huge fan as a kid. When you mentioned the Burger King watch, I had the one that smelled like bananas. I don't know if you remember that the watch strap on some of them was scratch and sniff. So mine had bananas on it, smelled like bananas. They also did at one point a Rugrats scratch and sniff watch along for the movie. So it was when the movie came to TV. Yeah. They had these scratch and sniff cards. That's and so cool. A number would pop up on the screen and you had to scratch it in accordance with the movie so you could smell along with it. It was like their smell-o-vision idea. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is very exciting for me. As a kid, I loved some of the Rugrats PC games. So I was playing those on my shitty old Gateway computer.
Hell yeah.
And I just loved it. This is also reminding me, childhood crush on Stu Pickles. And I think he could still get it, as the kids would say. So this looks like a lot of fun. It looks just, I don't know, adorable as well. complete, favorite show when I was a kid. I do often think about some of those jokes, Dustin, like the pudding and everything.
Yeah.
Of like some of this went over my head as a kid of like how truly like despondent the parents seemed. And also knowing that like, wow, they're supposed to be like 31 and 32. And it's like, Christ, that's how old I am now. Like that's me, just without the house and family and, accomplishment. But yeah, this excites me greatly. I'll be really, anticipating seeing people actually play this and, reviews, whatnot. Hopefully it's not garbage because I do want to enjoy this.
Yeah. It looks super cute. The characters in the NES version, because they're, the Rugrats babies with big heads, they kind of remind me of Bonk from Bonk's Adventure on the NES. It kind of has that style. Gene, I don't know where are you with Rugrats? This is because you're older than Micah and I, younger than Dagan, so you're somewhere in the mix here. Is this something that's lost on you, or are you?
No, I feel like I'm a little surprised that you and Micah are familiar with Rugrats. I didn't know that it lasted that long because Rugrats was around when I was a kid. So
okay, yeah.
And I would joke because I'm from Guam, right? So like my experience with other cultures, like in the U.S., is very different because I was just surrounded by a bunch of islanders and Japanese people. And, like I didn't even really meet my first black person until, well, I guess it was high school when I dated somebody, but she was a military kid. But I didn't really get involved in like black culture until I moved to California. California was like, I was just like, oh my God, there's Indians and like black people. And there's like, like white people. Oh my God, white people. What is this,
Yeah.
That includes Jews. I never really like encountered like I never understood why people hated Jews. Like it's like I had to like learn that, which is so stupid and sad, right? But
right.
I never understood why they were so different from anyone else because I'm just not involved in that main culture. So even when I moved out here to DC, I told my Jew friends, I don't really know anything about Jewish culture. Everything I know about Jewish culture I learned from Rugrats, and they were like, "Oh, well, that's all you need to know."
Episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Yeah, that's all you need to know." It sounds like you're good. I was like, "Did you watch Seinfeld?" I'm like, "Yeah, I watched Seinfeld." I was like, "Oh, you know us completely then." Like, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I didn't even know Rugrats were like was such a primarily like Jewish background like story too. It's fascinating, and it kind of makes me want to watch it again. I loved it. I love Angelica. I love the twins. And I watched the movies too. So yeah, I guess Rugrats was a lot more multi-generational than I expected.
They rebooted it. I just read. I didn't even know this. I was at Nickelodeon until 4 weeks ago, so you'd think I would have heard this, but they rebooted it 2 years ago for Paramount Plus, so it went direct to subscription.
Horrifying.
Same
Is it
team.
horrifying? Oh my God!
It's CG, right?
Oh, it's
Yeah,
CG?
it just doesn't work well.
Everything, all the reboots are CG.
Yeah. So yeah, Rugrats Adventure in Gameland. Look forward to it sometime in 2024. Not the normal type of game we'd highlight, but I just couldn't resist as I knew that we would all probably have a connection to that IP.
Yeah, surprisingly, we all do. I mean, obviously, Dagan would. It was really fun hearing about a little background about that. Like, that's more background than I ever learned. I think I was young enough for Rugrats is that I just didn't question any of it. I just watched it.
Yeah, it was a classic that came on. Always watching, always down with Rugrats for sure. Mm-hmm. Moving on to number 2, this one we can do kind of quick. Borderlands 3 Ultimate Edition is coming to Switch on October 6th. This includes all the DLC. They're kind of doing a big Borderlands collection on other consoles. So this is the first time we're getting Borderlands 3 on Switch. Thus, that's the full price with the DLC. I don't know. Is anyone interested in Borderlands? I want to make sure this was noted as a port, but so yeah. Okay, we'll just move on from that then, but shout out Borderlands if you want to play that. Another one, Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary Edition has been rated for Switch along with other consoles as well. This is the second time this game has had like a port. They did one for 360 and PS3, and now they're getting it to these modern consoles as well. You got to question the timing. Beyond Good and Evil 2 is the longest game in development. It's practically been in development as long as this Anniversary Edition, almost not quite 20 years, but over 10 at this point. So,
wow, is it really? Wow.
Yeah.
Dave,
do you know I saw you nodding your head. Are you a Beyond Good and Evil fan? Do you know much about this game?
This has been on my backlog for years. I know almost nothing about it except that, it was highly spoken of.
As an animator, I think you like it.
Yeah.
It does some really good 3D animation work. It's
I have to check it out.
Really, really good storytelling. And that's why that fucking game has continued to stay in the discourse, because anyone who played it was probably really enchanted by the story. At this point, I'm over it. I don't give a shit. I could not care about Beyond Good and Evil 2. Ubisoft is like this company that just like spins up like all these like huge projects and like never finishes them, and Beyond Good and Evil 2 and that fucking pirate game. I already forgot the name because who cares?
S&B. They're trying to push it as S&B, even though it's Skull and Bones.
Skull and Bones. Oh my god. Are they really rebranding it as S&B?
I saw. So Easy Allies have been making jokes about this where they've been calling it S&B in like marketing or something.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's a trash fire.
Oh, it was
right
on
there.
GameCube too. I didn't realize this history of this game.
It was a really really good story, and so that's why there's such a and it also ended on a cliffhanger, which is so annoying.
Oh wow.
So that's why people have been waiting for 2, and it's just never coming. And it was really enchanting, and it was really interesting with really fun characters. It was really one of the first examples of like really really good storytelling, I guess, in that era.
Yeah, I'm gonna play this.
Yeah.
Just to correct, the Skull and Bones, that might have been a joke on their podcast that I just have heard that they were calling it S&B. So shout out to Easy Allies. But Micah, are you familiar with Beyond Good and Evil? Is this something that you're excited about at all?
So my only familiarity with it comes from, being a fan of Alana Pierce, because I feel like every content creator has a game that they are just known about being, obsessed with. Mm-hmm. And that's my experience with Beyond Good and Evil, is just knowing that it's one of like Alana's beloved games. But otherwise, no, I've never played it. I don't really know much about it, but it certainly is just one of those examples of like, yeah, this content creator is just known for telling everyone to play this specific game. I think we all have one of those where like we tell people like, go play this game. And that's the only reason I really know anything about it, is just from Alana.
Yeah. I played it a decent amount of it a long time ago, but there's just too much other stuff. I've heard it's great, but I know a lot of people will just, something about Switch, being able to play it portable on the go. A lot of people are going to be excited about this. Moving on to the last two here. This one's a quick shout out. Excitebike 64 has been added to Nintendo Switch Online. This is a game, I've never actually played this on Nintendo 64, but I used to emulate it on Project 64 on my computer when I didn't have a Nintendo 64 as a kid, and I would play this every once in a while. But this was kind of just a random, hey, we're putting this on, go check it out, enjoy it. So that's available for anyone out there. And then last but not least, and I want to hear the crew's reaction because we haven't got to talk about it on this show at all, Suikoden 1 and 2 remasters have been delayed to 2024, which is sad because I was very excited about these, but at the same time, we've got plenty of games to play this year that it's no big deal. Let it cook a bit. But Gene, well, I guess both Gene and Dagan and Micah as an RPG fan, I feel like we got to chat about this at least briefly. But Gene, I'll throw this to you first. As you know, you've always talked about the PS1 RPGs that you love, like Final Fantasy VII. Mm-hmm. Have these games appealed to you, and how are you feeling about these remasters?
I think Suikoden 2 is still one of the best RPG stories ever made. I couldn't believe when I was playing it how good it was. I think it probably still has the best ending in any Suikoden, in any JRPG ever.
Whoa.
And it was really the first game RPG series where the story would continue. Final Fantasy, it was always like different, and like that was just like normal for me. Even Dragon Quest, so many of those games were just like different. But Suikoden 1 ties directly into Suikoden 2, and the decisions you make in Suikoden 1 goes into Suikoden 2. So people were, anybody who was like fascinated by what Mass Effect did, I was like, this is cool. I'm glad that it's here. But we had this in the Suikoden series, and it was awesome. And we had way more characters, 108 characters for both games,
Right. And it reads your save.
Incredible. The fighting is incredible. Like the story, I can't even like talk about like how great the story is. There's so many twists. It's so tragic. It's so beautiful. Yeah, I'm actually glad that it got delayed out, because this is not a game that I would want to like miss out on. This is a game that I would really want to just sit down and be cozy with and just really enjoy and just take me back, you know?
Yeah. I played Suikoden 1 earlier this year or late last year and loved it, which is crazy because everyone thinks Suikoden 2 is better.
2 is so much better, dude. And 1 is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I loved 1, but 2 is, I would put 2 up there with Final Fantasy 6 and Chrono Trigger easily.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I have it, dude. I have a copy. I started it and then something came out and I was enjoying it. I just got sidetracked. So I got to get back to it. I was trying to decide if I just want to wait and play the remaster. But then I'm going to play Suikoden 1 again when the remaster. So I don't know. We'll see. But Dagan, you're also a fan of the JRPGs of the PS1 era. Were you a Suikoden boy or man at the time? Suikoden lad?
I like to think of myself as a boy back then.
Yeah.
But I was but you know what's funny? I think Suikoden 1 was the first JRPG Colin and I played together on the PlayStation. I'm not sure because it was right in the same period of time as Wild Arms. So it was Wild Arms, Suikoden, and then Final Fantasy VII came out. So those were like the 3 back-to-back that Colin and I played together. And Final Fantasy Tactics came before, too, if you want to count that. But I never played like you, Dustin. I never played 2. I just completely missed it. I remember how much Colin loves it, though. But I never, as far as I remember. But I never played it. That's another backlog game for me. Thanks for reminding.
Yeah. Well, hey, you have some time to catch up on other stuff since this one's been delayed. But Micah, I think I don't know if you've played Suikoden, but these games I'm sure very appealing to your interests. And just based off the first one, I was like, man, this game rules. It was the perfect, like, it's really forward thinking in that I never felt like I had to grind. Like I was like, oh, this is an old JRPG on PlayStation 1. I'm going to be annoyed with it at some point when I played the first one. And it's just somehow perfectly paced, which for a lot of games of that era isn't really the case. So, Micah, have you played either of these? And if not, are you interested in these remasters?
Yeah, I have not played either of them, but this is a must buy for me, especially after hearing, Gene's, praise for it. But this is something I was already interested in, but much like Gene, I think I am a little bit relieved that it's getting delayed only because I have so much to play right now. And I just feel like, I really could use, these last few months of the year to catch up on some stuff that I'm working through. We already are anticipating, the Mario RPG remake. There's several things coming already.
Yeah.
Plus my, current backlog of games that I want to get through.
Dude, I haven't even finished Octopath 1 yet,
Oh, yeah.
I'm still working on that, man.
Yeah, so I'm honestly not too disappointed about it getting delayed. I have a ton to play right now, so I was not waiting for that game to come out before I played another JRPG, right? It's like, this is fine. I have so much to play. I'm honestly happy that it's getting pushed to next year. Hopefully by then I'll feel like, yeah, I can start this right away. I won't have as much to get through.
Yeah, I'm with you. If it released now, I would do. I'm deep in so many games. We'll get into that in a little bit with what we've been playing. But so yeah, look forward to Suikoden 1 and 2 next year on Nintendo Switch and other platforms as well. And that's it for the news. Not a ton going on in the world of Nintendo, but still some interesting things. Dagan, do you have us a midway segment?
Yes,
for us?
indeed.
Break it up. Break up the tension. I don't know what kind of there's no tension. Maybe some sexual tension?
Yeah,
maybe.
You know what?
I don't know.
I didn't get to mention this, but can we talk about Balloon Mario? From that direct?
Yeah.
I just want, there's something a little weird about that, right? I can't be the only one who felt like that was a little weird.
Yeah.
That was a little weird. Something about it was not right.
Nintendo loves doing that they're like, hey, this is just weird enough. It's going to make you uncomfortable, but you're not going to do anything about it because we're Nintendo. Fuck you.
Yeah, like horror stuff.
That was like borderline.
Yeah.
Do you remember Rule 34?
Do you remember it? Do you remember in the original Mario Maker that there was the long Mario? Like they just took a Mario sprite and like stretched him out, and he's he's like real lanky and weird. I think about that every once in a while. Probably like once a month, I'll think about that long Mario. I don't know if I love him or hate him. I want to invite him to dinner, and I also want to kill him. I don't. It's a lot of emotions.
Flaccid married. Wait, what's flaccid mean? Is flaccid hard or soft?
No, it means soft.
Yeah, it's a little.
I prefer flaccid.
A little visual representation for our video watchers there, but I swear I'm not flashing the camera, but
well, maybe next time.
Nintendo's for kids.
Yeah, when I'm host.
When you're host, you can do whatever the fuck you want. That's go for it.
It'd just be like that YouTube video of that guy who just showed his butthole within like 3 seconds of
hey, we don't. We don't have any kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Like, we don't have any kind of management in terms of it's not PR.
No, we have complete autonomy. Colin doesn't give a shit. I mean, he couldn't care less.
Yeah, that guy was Asian
Human resources.
Too, so I'll just be continuing the trend of Asian guys just showing their buttholes for some reason.
The lineage, yeah. Oh yeah, no HR to come after you, so anything goes. Really,
listen. You know what? It feels like YouTube's been around a while, and it has, but it's still the Wild West. Like, we're gonna look back on this period and be like, "What the fuck?" Like, it was just completely unchecked.
Yeah,
that's it. All right, so yeah, I do have something for you guys. You guys want to take a little test? It'll be a fun test.
Let's do it.
We'll keep it quick. I understand. I think the vibe, the energy I was sort of imagining for this would be like, let's keep it. Let me put it to you this way. I have 11 questions for you guys.
Sure.
It could just be bang, bang. It's chocolate or vanilla type of thing. Just pick this one or this one. And I'll tell you what I'm assessing, what I'm testing at the end. But all you have to do is all three of you have to answer the same questions. I have 10 plus a bonus, so 11 in total. And again, it's just A or B, chocolate or vanilla. You answer it, and then at the end, I'll tell you what we were gauging. Okay? So you just choose one. All right, you guys. Yoshi or Luigi?
I'll go first. Yoshi.
Okay. Call them out, my friends.
I'm going to say Luigi.
Luigi.
I'll say Luigi.
Okay. All right, you guys. Number 2, Mario or Toad?
Mario.
Okay.
I'm going Toad.
Toad from Micah?
I'll go Toad too, because Super Mario Bros. 2.
Fuck you guys. Picking the opposite of me both times.
I like it. All right, number 3, GameCube or Wii?
GameCube.
Yeah, I'll go GameCube.
Yeah, all right. We got some parity on that one. All right. Number 4, NES or SNES?
SNES.
Yeah, SNES.
Oh, everybody's going 16-bit. I like it. All right. Number 5, NOA or NOJ? Nintendo of America, Nintendo of Japan. Which one you picking?
NOJ, because I got the power.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, NOJ. Yeah, they're the real bosses.
No, I'm going America because Reggie Fils-Aimé. I mean, shout out to Reggie, one of my favorite people in the world that I've ever met.
Very good. Good reasoning.
I do love Reggie. He's a good friend of mine now. So
he was awesome. He really was. He still is awesome. All right. Are we on 6? Okay, guys. Princess Zelda or Princess Peach?
Peach.
Okay.
The ideal woman, as I said. Oh,
Yeah,
did you see that Barbie just beat Mario movie in the box office too?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, 1.36 billion versus 1.35 billion. That's crazy.
I'm gonna also say Peach.
Peach.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I like Zelda, but not all Zelda. Not all Zeldas created equal.
Yeah.
And Peach is consistent.
Has too much variance.
Yeah. There's too many different versions of Zelda, whereas Peach is just Peach. She's the same woman.
That's a good point.
Throughout the years. It's great.
Yeah. What did you say, Micah, for this one?
Oh, I said Peach.
You said Peach. All right, we have Peach across the board. All right, number 7, Link or Samus?
I gotta go with my boy Link. I'm sorry, Samus. I'm sorry to Samus.
I'm gonna have to say Link too.
Yeah.
Link.
Yeah, I'm with Link. Never played a Samus game. I'm going to call it that. It's Metroid, right? But no, I don't like it. It's not for me. And I'm not a huge fan of Zelda either. But Link's cute. He's adorable.
Little
Wind Waker Link. Well, no, not like that. No. I like
Ganon.
Wind Waker Link. Yeah, Ganon's hot. Link is cute. Little Wind Waker Link, his little green tunic. He's adorable. He's making a grumpy face at his grandma.
Little baby boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's fantastic.
I agree. All right. Number 8, you guys. Super Mario Brothers 2 or Super Mario Brothers 3? You have to channel your NES Mario back then.
3
Which one
easily.
you going?
Yeah, 3 easy.
3. Okay.
Yeah, we'll go 3 because I think otherwise Colin would scream.
Yeah,
That's true.
It's true. He does.
my mom is a proponent for Mario 2.
Me too.
Little trivia, Furman lore. My mom is a big fan of Mario 2.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just me and I think it's literally just me and her.
Yeah, probably.
I finally found somebody.
I love 2. The ending made me cry. So
Yeah.
2 has a 2 was like kind of like the first game I really loved, but 3 is better. You know,
it was special.
3 was
And
special.
listen,
So
Warts
special.
never came back. He's never come back. Okay, so we're on 9 now, you guys. All right. I think I know where all you guys stand with this one, but physical or digital?
Physical.
Okay.
Physical.
Okay.
We're the Pro Physical Podcast of Last Stand.
Really? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
we
across
are.
the board, that's
Even
true.
Manny's not that into it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now this one's really
he
broad.
has a retro channel, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't know where he stands.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like you have to hold on to physical because who knows? You know, we're at that point, we're at that stage where it could go in either direction. Really are. We're kind of surprised it lasted this long, to be honest. But I'll have more to say when we talk about something else later on about that. But all right, number 10, again, a broad one, but you just got to kind of pick your poison here. Run or jump?
Jump.
Okay.
I'm going to say run.
Okay.
I'll say jump.
Okay.
It's tough though.
That is a tough one because there's no context.
Yeah.
All right. Going for the last one, total curveball for you guys. Is it Nintendo related? I don't know. Anime or manga?
Anime.
Okay.
Yeah, anime.
Okay.
I'll say anime too.
Okay.
Dude, manga fans are elitist. You know, they're like, oh, manga's better. Manga's better paced.
All right, I'm just going to tally
The sad
these
thing
up.
is that I was going to say that. I was going to say all of that. I was like, well, manga is better and it is better paced.
You know what though? But it's all in black and white. I got a shelf of manga, all right, and it's all in black and white.
Yeah.
And it's like, what am I, a dog? Like I can see color. So like put some color in it. Like would it kill you? And also it's like, oh, the first episode of the show is like 3 fucking books. All right. I don't have space for that. You know, I can just watch Dragon Ball Z. I don't need to read 1,000 books.
Yeah, that's true.
See, I actually read Dragon Ball Z before the anime, so that's
of course you did.
That's why I was like elitist about it. But I gotta say, I like the anime better, anyways. Though, you know, like to your point, Micah, everything you said is true. I just think, anime just kind of moves faster, and it's just like the story's not that great that you got to move that slow, you know. So.
Wow, you guys are really kind of like even across the board with this test. It's really interesting. I'm just tallying up these last ones. Now, guys, I'm going to tell you what this is as I finish tallying these up. Actually, what did you... Okay, you all said, wow, I think I know how this is going to come out. This is the last one here. I'm on the last one. And you all went, okay, this is interesting. Now, guys, what this is my sort of form, my version of a Nintendo personality test. So are you type A as a Nintendo fan, or are you type B? Okay, so each one, essentially, with each choice you just made, you decided if it was the thing I presented, but you also decided if it was A or B. Okay. Now, it looks like, Gene, let's do you first. I got, oh my God, Gene, you are exactly, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 6 A's and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gene, you are a type A Nintendo fan in the personality test. That means I would just say it's like a type A personality in general. Serious fan, no nonsense, hold Nintendo's feet to the fire, expect the best. High, you know, kind of like, you know, serious customer. But you were very borderline. You were borderline, but you came out just a little bit A on the A side. Dust, let's count.
Probably all my years of living in Washington, D.C. I never thought of myself as a type A personality, but I think I became one as I've been living here.
See.
Because you gotta be a type A personality to live here, you know, and to live with these fucking people, you know.
Yeah, coming from Hawaii, what I would expect a little more type B vibes, right?
Exactly.
And
Exactly. It was very different.
So.
I really had to adapt and change and learn, you know.
That's interesting. All right, Dust, let's count your B's up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Dust, you are the same thing. You got, let me double check this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You are a type A Nintendo personality. Same as Gene, same count. Okay. You guys had some different answers, but it came out in the wash. You came out even. Micah, I don't have any predictions for you. Let's count your B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And Micah, you were a type B Nintendo personality, but all you guys are borderline. Could kind of come out either way. I remember, you know where this came from? I was thinking the other day, my dad had a random girlfriend. This was many years ago. I think not the current woman that he's with. This had to be at least 20 years ago. I think she was a psychiatrist professionally. And she decided it would be a good idea to bring one weekend a personality test for us all to take. And I don't know if Colin was involved, but certainly my 2 older siblings and myself did it. And I was exactly on the razor's edge to the question between type A and type B personality. And I was always intrigued by that. And I always thought if I took it again on a different day, in a different set of circumstances, if I was in a different mood, how would it come out? So I'm just thinking, so Micah, you're a slightly more laid back fan, but you're all pretty serious customers. I think Nintendo should be afraid. This was also my barometer. Like what makes Nintendo of America B and Nintendo of Japan A? I don't know. There's something there.
Yeah.
Something I thought made sense. So congratulations, you guys. Now you know.
Yeah. Thanks, Dagan. The type A, I honestly don't know what is this? So the type A personality, does that mean you're more outgoing or you're more like, I've always heard that, but I actually don't know what it means now that I think about it.
A little more serious, a little more, where type B is a little more laid back, a little more easygoing. Type A is a little bit more
aggressive. You know,
aggressive is a good word.
Blah, blah.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting. Well, thanks, Dagan. We appreciate your midway segment. We got type, but Dagan, we didn't figure out what are you? Did you do your own test beforehand?
I was thinking about that as I kind of came up with this, and I was thinking maybe that's too much of a bias because I'm coming up with this stuff. I think I probably would have erred on the A side, to be honest. Just looking at my preferences. You know, I would certainly choose GameCube over Wii. I would choose Nintendo over Japan. I would have chosen. You know what though? It probably would have come out more like Micah, where I would be B, but it would have been close. Right? I think. But I would have to take a test. I don't know. I can't make my own test.
Yeah.
I can.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's kind of why dating in DC is so hard because everyone here is so fucking type A. So like every time you go on a date, the girl is every time I've gone on a date, the girl is always like, okay, what are you looking for in a relationship? I was like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah. Let's get down to
something first.
Hey, can we get the mozzarella sticks here first?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, we're at a Chili's. What the fuck do you think I want in life? You know, I invited you to Chili's.
Oh, Chili's is an excellent restaurant.
Oh my god!
See, I gotta find a girl like Micah, for Christ's sake. You know, I gotta go to Boston.
I respect Chili's, but only if you compare it to Applebee's. You know,
exactly.
Well, yeah, Chili's is better than Applebee's.
Way
I think
better than
Applebee's is done, isn't it? Did it fold?
I hope.
But the ones out here are
well,
done.
don't say that, Dustin.
Yeah.
It's so Applebee's has its place, but Chili's has the corn on the cob, and Applebee's doesn't have that. So that's kind of where Chili's edges out Applebee's is that corn on the cob. The crispy chicken crispers are also excellent.
Those are good.
God.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with those.
Yeah, I think about Applebee's. Have you ever eaten anything good at Applebee's?
Yeah, the fish and chips. It's my favorite.
Oh, really?
Oh, I mean,
Can't mess up fish and chips though. Well, you
I
can.
went to Outback Steakhouse for the first time when I went home to Mass the other weekend, and I got the chicky fingies because I was like, I'm in the mood for steak, but it was like my first time ever going to Outback, and it's like, I'll have your chicken fingers, please. They were very good.
Your finest chicken fingers.
They were really good. Like, you don't know. Like, they were incredible chicken fingers. So I highly recommend those if you ever go to Outback.
Sometimes you just got to try the chicken fingers. For me, it's always fish and chips. Whatever there's fish and chips on the menu, I was like, I need to try your fish and chips.
Yeah,
I need to try
That's my
I need
go-to.
to taste it. I want to eat every fish and chips in the world, and then this is one of them.
Yeah.
I don't even love fish and chips, but a really really good fish and chips. Oh my god!
Is that like a barometer meal? If they have good fish and chips, then it's at least they're somewhat competent. Or
yeah. It's like they're somewhat decent. Beer battered fish. Oh.
I mean, it's hard to say though, because I love fish and chips. It's one of my favorite meals. But admittedly, like Applebee's has really good fish and chips, but I know it's just frozen. It's not like I'm going to like a local seafood place and it's fresh fish and chips. Like I do know it's just some Gorton's fisherman bullshit. But it's really good at Applebee's, so like I'll eat it.
I miss the ones in Hawaii because that was fresh fish.
Oh,
caught off the boat, and then they fucking gut it, and then they serve it to you.
That must be so good, dude.
Yeah, so good.
I've always been bothered by fish and chips because I don't like the nondescript nature of it. It's just fish. What kind of fish is it? Is it normally a certain kind?
It's got to be halibut or...
I mean, it'll be haddock or cod. It could be a couple different things. They usually will put it on the menu, though.
This is the thing. Yeah, it's just when you order a burger, you're not like, oh, it could be. Well, I guess if you shop at Aldi, it could be horse. Or if you never know, there was that scandal a few years ago.
No.
Dude,
yeah.
Bison burgers are so delicious. I love eating.
They're good.
Love eating bison. Yeah,
they're different. You know what's funny, guys? When I never heard this before in my life. When I moved to LA, I realized, and again, no one ever told me, that fish and chips is an institution in Los Angeles. Because you always think fish and chips, you think England, you think London, right?
Sure.
Every restaurant in Southern California, at least in the Hollywood area, I was in Westwood, lived in Malibu for a little while, lived in Santa Monica for a little while. That whole area, fish and chips everywhere. Like I never heard, and I don't know if that was because there was an influx of English people. I don't know, but that was like I ate it so much out there that I became like a savant at fish and chips. Like it was like I could just, I had a fine taste for fish and chips after that. But I never heard that before. But it's a thing.
Yeah, I've not heard that either about that.
It's weird.
Area. I have a question while we're on this non sequitur, just to cap it off here, because I mentioned it now. I have to ask you guys. I mentioned the Aldi horse meat situation. And I know there's a thing in Europe. I 100% have no problem eating a horse. Like I would eat horse meat. I don't care. It's a taboo here in the US. They do it all the time in Europe. I know people have pet horses. If I had a pet horse, maybe I'd feel differently. But I want to know, would you guys eat horse meat?
Yeah, I hate horses. So horses are really scary. Horses are really scary. They're so scary.
I think that's the first time I ever heard anyone say that.
Oh my god! Like most hated animals, horses and dolphins. I can't stand them. And I'm an animal lover. All right, I really am passionate about animals and whatever. But like horses, horrifying. I'll eat the shit out of one of those things. Like it's the same as like a grizzly bear to me. Like I don't want to be near it. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to eat one though, just for that reason. Because like I don't know if I'd like it. Like what's it taste like? I don't know. But I would eat one without any like moral concern. I'd be like, yeah, I'd eat a horse. But like I still don't really want to eat one.
Dagan, I'm getting a mixed. Just from viewing your face, I don't know. I'm getting a no from this.
I have a weird thing with this. Like, I channel my inner vegetarian. In other words, let me be honest. I'm way too selfish to be vegetarian because I love me some beef and I love me some chicken. I'm never going to be vegetarian, but I always admired it. And so I have this, and this is my way of placating myself and making myself feel better. I have a list of things. I won't eat anything beyond beef, chicken, and lamb. Like I won't eat rabbit. I won't eat duck. And it's not because I'm not curious. I'm curious as shit to bite into a rabbit. To be honest with you, it's just that's my way of saying like, I'm kind. Those are my limits. It's like half a vegetarian. So I definitely wouldn't eat a horse. No.
Yeah, the duck is absolutely delicious. 10 out of 10.
So delicious. Oh my God.
Gene, you're going to round us out here on the horse meat issue that has become very important in this episode of Punching Up a Nintendo Podcast.
Yeah, I'll eat horse, and I hate to live up to the stereotype of dirty Asians, but I've had dog before.
Whoa!
The only reason why I've had dog before is because my grandpa was so fucked up. Like he went to one of he doesn't even eat dog. But he went to one of the markets, ordered some dog, and then when we all sat down for dinner, like we started eating, and he was just looking at me, and then he just started laughing. And I was like, "What are you laughing at?" I was like, "You just ate dog." I was like, "What the fuck?" dude.
Grandpa, no.
Yeah.
Grandpa.
It was fucked up. He just started laughing. And he just started talking in Korean to like my uncles and everything. They look at him. He's eating dog. I'm like, what is this?
I wonder what it was. Like, was it a poodle? Was it a German Shepherd?
I didn't want to ask. I was so upset. So yeah, that's the only reason why. Like nobody in Korea eats dog, but he just went out his way to fucking prank me on it. It was fucked up.
That's hardcore. You were punked.
Yeah. He's dead now.
Wow. That's yeah, that's really something. That's that's the kind of prank that I don't know what I would do if someone did. I mean, I guess
I'm gonna do it to my kids. I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, what's it gonna do? Fight him? You know?
Yeah, what are you gonna do? It's Grandpa. You know?
Yeah, exactly. He knew that. He knew Dad couldn't do anything. You know?
Yeah. Wow. This is taking an unexpected turn. Really, this segment. I'm glad we got into this. Moving on to the last two parts of our show. Let's talk about
that was Dagan's quiz.
That was Dagan's quiz. Yeah,
I love that.
Hope you guys like it. Let's talk about what we've been playing recently. I'll go first, just real quick. I'm playing Armored Core 6, and I'm still playing Baldur's Gate, but Armored Core 6 has been my main thing. And I said this in the Discord last night. It got some visceral reactions. I said, I'm not trying to sound like a dick. I'm not trying to front on anybody. But so far, I haven't found this game to be very hard, which people are losing their minds, particularly even at the tutorial boss. I have lost my mind in From Software games, particularly Sekiro did not come easy to me. In fact, it took me like 3 different times of restarting that game. So I was behind everybody on that game. But Armored Core coming a little naturally to me. I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to speak too soon. It could ramp up in difficulty. But
so which chapter or which act are you in?
I think I'm almost to the end of Act 3.
Okay. Yeah. You're trucking along nicely.
Yeah. I'm how many acts is it?
There's 4 or 5.
Oh, that's not bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, it's fun.
You're well past halfway already. So
if you're into mechs, if you're into hard From Software, quick reaction type games, this game really, really is like Gina and I were talking about. I don't know if it was on this show or something else, but really, really dependent on building mechs. In fact, you'll spend as much or more time designing your mech as you actually are playing the game. So if that's a plus to you, which it is definitely for me, just kind of fiddling around in the menus for a long time, then I highly recommend checking this game out. It's not available for Nintendo Switch, but that's okay. We don't make these games exclusive to talking.
So you did okay on Baltius, the Act 1 boss?
Yeah, so
that's a filter for everyone.
I had a little bit of trouble at first, and then I realized I just need to get a gun that gets rid of his shield, and then I'll be fine.
Bubble, yeah.
And then after that, I was fine.
Exactly. As soon as I figured that out, I was like, okay, I'm fine. I beat him in like 5 more tries. So
yeah, that's one of those things where I see people struggling with this game, and I'm like, just go figure out what your build needs to be, because that's the same. A few bosses later, I'll just say a boss that's like a spider.
Yeah.
My one friend was like, I cannot do this. I'm like, dude, you just gotta, get the Gatling guns, get this type of rocket, and then do this. And it's easy. I beat it once I found that correct layout. I beat him in 2 tries. It's like not that bad. So
yeah, there's the lava boss, whatever, and he's super hard until you realize that you should get the 4-leg hover legs and just hover over him and hit him in the weak point at the top of the head.
Right,
and
right on his volcano urethra at the top.
Yeah,
it's like right down there. Yeah, that's what you got to do. But yeah, Armored Core 6, pretty neat game. Micah, I'll throw this to you next. You're playing Sea of Stars, which is a game I'm saving for my flight to Japan. So I'm very curious about how you're finding it, along with Vampire Survivors too.
Yeah, so Vampire Survivors, continuing from our last episode, just playing that here and there. It's just the perfect game to play for 10 or 15 minutes. I'm just treating it like that no, it's not my main game that I'm playing, but doing a run, here and there is just an awesome way to get through it, and a nice little change up between other things I'm playing. Sea of Stars. I downloaded the demo. I played the demo for 10 minutes because I just wanted a taste of it. I just wanted to see the combat. I wanted to get a feel for the dialogue, how the game's written. And that 10 minutes was all I needed. I bought it right away. I was torn because, rumor has it that there will be a physical release of the game next year, but that's all we know is 2024. And I don't know. I didn't want to wait for an unknown amount of time when the game is already out. So I just said, I'm just going to buy it. I'm usually not someone to purchase digital games, but at this price point, first of all, it's $34.99. I really have no problem buying digital games as long as they're not $70.
Yeah.
I just feel like for that price, I deserve a token of some kind. Mm-hmm. So I was happy to buy it. It's great. I'm only maybe 2 hours into it. The combat system is really cool, a little tricky at first. There's a timing element to it. So when you attack, you can do more damage if you hit, the action button at the right time. When you're passive and you're being attacked, if you hit the button at the right time, you defend and you take less damage. It's honestly quite tricky, but I'm enjoying it. It's satisfying practice. When you get it right.
That's great practice for you for Mario RPG.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Yeah. Is that a facet of that game?
That Mario RPG is the first game to do that. So.
Aha. Yeah, that's fun. Well, yeah, because I'm trying. It's I'm enjoying it a lot so far. And a key thing for me too was just how's the dialogue? How's this game written? Because a game can have really awesome mechanics, but if the story is stupid, I can't look past it. I'm not the person who can always look past a horrible story or like really flat characters just to play a game. And this isn't that at all. The characters are immediately lovable. The world is interesting right off the bat. I'm just so curious about what's going on. It's intriguing right away. It's why I only played the demo for 10 minutes because I was like, I need to get right into this. I've seen enough. I just need to go out and play it. And it's fantastic. I'm excited to play more of it this weekend and definitely excited for you to play it, Dustin, so we can talk shop about it more once you've experienced it.
Yeah, this game, I knew it was going to review well, but man, it is just absolutely been, it's a certified banger right now with an 89. And I'm so excited to check it out. It just looks like, such a beautiful game in the way it's lighting, the pixels, particularly like it's a pixel art game with lighting, I think is really cool. And so, I'm just super excited to check this out when I go on my flight to Japan. So looking forward to that. Dagan, let's throw this to you. What's going on in your gaming world right now?
Yeah, it's been busy. It's been a busy summer in general, but playing Halo 3 now for Knockback. We have some time, but I just started it. I was excited to start it. Playing Alan Wake for Saber Symbols Plus. Excited about that. A game I completely missed. So it was really a complete mystery to me and just kind of jumped in cold. And I'm still early, but I'm enjoying it. So those are my non-Nintendo games. And then for the Switch, I'm playing Final Fantasy IV. We got to be at least a month and a half out for that game on Knockback, but it's going to be a 40-hour ordeal. So I just figured, and it's one of my favorites. Just get started.
Totally, yeah.
Right. So good. And Sea of Stars, I've been intending to start this game. It's not the best timing in terms of, how much time I have in my schedule, but I downloaded the demo and I've fired it up at least 3 or 4 times and have just subsequently got pulled away almost instantaneously each time. But I'm with Micah. I was initially going to hold out for the physical release because I think this game's going to be really up my alley. And I love the way it looks. It's so beautiful. But I think if I like the demo, I'm just going to pull the trigger on the $34.99 digital version. Why not? Just go in for it. And I know we've been talking a lot about Vampire Survivors, but this game is fucking me up. It's so dangerous because Micah said it. It's one of those games that's kind of, like a mobile game as far as just casual play and sliding it into your schedule where you can. The thing for me is I see a little pocket of time like, I have to render this scene. It's probably going to be 15 minutes. Perfect. I'll pick up the Switch, play a little Vampire Survivors, but 15 minutes is not enough. Because it's the ultimate, like, I know I could do better than this game. And when I pick it up, I sit with it for at least 45 minutes in frustration of trying to get further, trying to get try to build on my 11-minute, 12-minute thing and see if I can make it to 13 minutes. It's like, it's driving me nuts, but I can't stop. And I'm trying to turn my family onto it in kind of like a spirited way to see if they get addicted to it too.
Co-op, yeah, dude, co-op.
Yeah.
But it's so much fun. For such a simple game, I don't remember the last mobile-like game that I played like this. And it really is addictive. It's really got me. And I just want to see like how far I could push myself, but it's difficult. And again, and they did a nice job of stepping up the difficulty and stepping up the evolution in terms of power-ups and things you could get and getting further in the game. But I feel like I'm still just scratching the surface with it. It's kind of weird. I don't remember the last time I played a game where I was this sort of fixated by it.
Yeah, it has that effect where it's like I mentioned last episode, I was checking out the Switch version. I was like, I got to put this down for a little bit. I don't want to get wrapped up into this with so many other games. It's just, it's the perfect dopamine. I don't want to say time waster because time gaming isn't a waste of time to me, but it really can suck you in.
Yeah, it's 1 o'clock and then you look up, it's 3 o'clock. It's like, what the hell? I just missed 2 hours of work, that type of thing.
Yeah.
You're working at night to make up for it. It's like, it's not good.
Yeah. Gene, throwing this over to you. You've been playing a pretty big release recently, a little small game called Starfield, but I'll let you take this any direction you'd like.
Yeah, I'm still playing Starfield. I had 55 hours for my review that went up on Thursday.
Wow.
Thank you for everyone who read it. And still not. You want to talk about scratching the surface? I feel like after 55 hours, I'm still scratching the surface, especially after like my conversation with Maddie and Cog and also Alana and Andy. Like all 4 of those people were talking about completely different things that I didn't even like see or experience, and everything I said was like new to them. So I'm just trying to make my way through it and try to find like really what's going on. I've rolled credit twice, and I've been told that I should keep doing that, which is interesting. And again, I don't want to say any more because I don't want to spoil it. But I've been told that I just got to keep playing the game to find more stuff.
Wow. Big.
And I also got the PC version. So I actually got paid by Twitter. I got my Elon Musk money, $165 for my engagement as a blue check. And I spent that money on buying the digital deluxe version on PC because I figured I really want to try this Starfield out on my Steam Deck, and it runs pretty decent. It's not bad. It's pretty crazy to have a game as big as Starfield just like on a handheld, and that's really what I bought it for. So I'm having a lot of fun. I re-rolled a new character on PC. I have parents now, and the great thing is that in Starfield you can have you can choose to have parents that you'll be sending money to, and they actually have their own apartment, and you can meet them. And so if you make your character look like you, there's a good chance that your parents could actually look like your real parents.
Whoa!
Because my buddy Pat made his character look just like him. And he went to go see his parents, and his dad looked just like him.
That's crazy.
And then when he saw his mom, he was like, "That's my mom." That's so
awesome.
fucked.
Yeah,
so,
dude.
Yeah, I mean the game is deep. I think a lot of people underestimate like how much of an RPG this game is because there's a lot to role play in and do. Dustin, you haven't touched it yet, huh?
No, we were saying I think before we started recording when it was just Mike and I hanging out is that. The problem is that I don't want to spend $100 for early access. Like I have too much stuff going on in the next few days, and I have too many current games that I'm playing.
Yeah.
And then, so it comes out the 6th.
6, yeah.
And then I'm leaving for Japan in just a few days. And the beginning is the worst part of the game. So I don't want to just play the beginning that's not very good and then not be able to play for a week and a half. So I'm going to have to wait until I get back, I think.
See, I think reviewers fucked up by saying, and I'm including myself in it, and saying that the beginning isn't that great. I think it was our approach to the game that wasn't great. The game isn't great if you're trying to do everything at the same time at the beginning. As a reviewer, you want to be able to think, oh, let me try this feature, let me try this feature, let me try this feature. And then so I see reviews saying, oh, it's really shallow. It's like, yeah, because you were trying every feature at the beginning and you're just like testing a little bit. And then I'm seeing people watching people stream the game, and I'm hearing feedback, and it's like, no, I love the game within like an hour or two. And it's like, that's because they're just like focusing on one thing. They're distracted by one quest or one thing, and they're just really, really getting involved in that and having fun.
Yeah.
And I think for me, even when I started Starfield, I wasn't having fun because I was like, oh, let me try the crafting mechanic. Let me try building a house, or let me try being this or that or space pirate. And it's like, yeah, it didn't really feel like I was having fun until I focused on a thing. So that could be it. But yeah, I mean, to your point again, Dustin, you're super busy, you're leaving, and yeah, I think you might as well just wait because
Yeah.
you got to get going.
Yeah, the thought of starting another giant RPG when I'm still in the midst of Baldur's Gate, which I said that I would be willing to pick up and put down Baldur's Gate, but I'm having like, I just am really, really, the more I play that game, the more I get into it. So we'll see. I'm very excited to play Starfield. In fact, like when early access dropped the other night, I was like, I want to do it, but I know better. Like I shouldn't. I managed to resist, so I'll be fine at this point. If I resisted that first night, I'm good to go. But I am very excited to play. I love Bethesda games. I have the platinum in Fallout 4. Played all of them pretty much. Well, I started with Morrowind, I believe. I never got very far in Morrowind, but dude, Oblivion, that was my shit on Xbox 360. I love that game. So
yeah, Phil Spencer wasn't kidding. This is closer to Oblivion than Skyrim, honestly.
Yeah.
Do you remember the conversation wheel mechanic in Oblivion? Every time you try to talk people down, that's back in Starfield.
Really? Whoa, yeah, I didn't know that. I haven't seen that at all.
They redesigned it. It's not a wheel anymore, but it functions exactly the same. Where it's like you want to say something that's a little bit like friendly, then you can go at one point. You want to be a little more aggressive, then maybe you can try that, but then you'll get more points, and then you can cut the conversation short that way. It's fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to play it, and I'm glad to see. Overall, people had a great time with it. People are like we were saying earlier, just like getting so nitpicky with things. It's like the game's obviously great. Maybe it's not quite the game of the generation that for some reason people were hyping it up to be, but it's like it's still probably it's still awesome. Still an amazingly huge RPG.
I think people are just too hung up on the review scores themselves, because if you go back and read the IGN review itself, like it sounds like a good game, If you just remove the score from it and you're like, yeah, I kind of want to play that. I'll check it out, Yeah. And then if you read my review, which I gave it a perfect score, I spent like the first third of the review complaining about it, So you got to just read the fucking reviews. Don't get hung up on a score. Read the reviews, find out what they say, and then figure it on your own, because you probably already bought the game and playing it anyways. So
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Go out there, read the reviews, everybody. Don't just the score. The score's dumb, really. I get why it exists, but read the review, guys. I got 2 listener questions to cap off the end of our show here. The first one from Jeffrey Leonard, who says, "Hey, Punching Up, as someone who's mostly an outsider to the Nintendo community, why is Mario seen as the most beloved and important Nintendo franchise? I've always felt that Zelda was the more impressive and influential IP on the platform, even going back several decades. Especially now, considering Zelda is selling far more Switches than Mario is selling for them. Would love to hear input from everyone. Appreciate the great content." So yeah, Mario is still, when we think of Nintendo, when you see Nintendo stuff, Mario is always the leader over, Zelda or Link or whatever, that IP in general. And this is kind of interesting, but I'm curious what you guys think, because my gut reaction is that Zelda has always been huge, but it wasn't this monumentally big until Breath of the Wild. Gene, do you agree with that? That's just like Breath of the Wild was kind of... Zelda has always been mainstream. I'm not trying to be like, it was a smaller title for Nintendo, but it wasn't meteoric until Breath of the Wild, right?
Zelda is important because it's so influential in game design. Obviously, I was going to say fucking Zelda 64, Ocarina of Time, Breath of the Wild is obviously influential and huge, but Mario is not the smaller IP. Zelda is not the more influential IP. Think about Mario Kart. Think about Mario Tennis. Think about Dr. Mario. Think about all these other. Think about Mario Party. Think about Super Smash Brothers. Super Smash Brothers wouldn't exist without Mario, right? Mario is the most influential video game character in the industry. Period. It's you gotta learn your history. You gotta learn that Super Mario Brothers 1 basically single-handedly saved the entire industry from complete collapse because the game was so good. And games were terrible back then. I was playing them, and then in came along Mario and said, no, give video games a chance. This medium has things going on that's interesting. It's exciting. It's got story. You got to rescue the princess. There's physics. That's why I said jump earlier, because running is important. But the real influential thing about Mario is that you can control how he jumps. That was like mind blowing back then for Super Mario Brothers 1. So, yeah, it's just not true that Zelda is the more impressive and influential IP. Like, trust me, I love Zelda, and I think Zelda is one of the most influential IPs, and probably like the marquee game for like the hardcore gamer, especially for the fantasy gamer. But Mario is just like universal. Like Mario is just another tier of like Mario is up there with Pokemon, obviously. In terms of like the tier of like recognition, like Mario is probably more recognized, easily more recognized than Mickey Mouse, probably as recognized as Spider-Man. You know,
I would argue Mario is the most iconic character ever. Really, I mean, you brought up Mickey Mouse, who's maybe obviously Mickey Mouse is still very, very iconic. I'm not trying to downplay him, but there's Mickey Mouse shows that they're still putting out, that Disney's still putting out, but it's not the zeitgeist anymore. He's kind of like he's more of a branding thing for Disney now than even a character, I would say. And whereas Mario is like, every kids everywhere, all over the world know who this man is. So
I would love a Mickey Mouse movie though. Wouldn't you agree, Dagan? Like it's been a while. Like they haven't made a Mickey Mouse movie in like centuries, it feels like. You know?
It's been so long. Yeah.
So yeah, if Disney just dropped a Mickey Mouse movie, that'd be fucking huge. You know, I'm surprised you haven't done it yet. Hire me, Disney. Remember your character, Mickey Mouse?
Dude, Kingdom Hearts is single-handedly holding up King Mickey as the king, as the boy. You know, so that's right. But Mike, I'll ask you about this just because you're kind of, I feel like, are impartial in this, in that not that you don't like Mario or Zelda, but you don't have a infatuation.
Just say it, Dustin, I'm stupid.
No.
Dumb. I can't play Zelda and I'm unskilled at Mario, but it's true.
No.
It's true. I'm going to say this as your resident, person who's got the skills of a kindergartner when it comes to these games, and that Mario is the accessible option. And for me, it's like, I'm horrible at the platformers, but Mario Party, hell yeah. Mario Kart, of course. Mario Sports, absolutely. So you're getting someone like me to interact with these characters and to love these characters, even though I really like Mario Odyssey is hard as fuck. I was talking to our niece, Ayla, who's like playing it now, and she's like, I'm stuck on the desert part. And it's like, I'd be stuck there too, kid. I can't help you.
It's a hard game. Mario games are hard.
They are.
Yeah, if you think I'm the adult that you can ask for help, I am not. All right. So it just is. Mario characters, though, I still have a great fondness for because I can interact with them in these other ways. Dustin, we talked about WarioWare. I mean, we just have these ways to interact with these characters that are not their core gameplay. Zelda does not have that same vibe. I would not expect them to make a Mario Party with Zelda characters, right? And Ganon and Zelda are hanging out, rolling dice. I mean, it's just it feels like a much more serious game in that aspect. Whereas, inviting Bowser to play, Mario Party with us feels pretty normal, right? Like Bowser's the bad guy, but he's not like Calamity Ganon. Okay. It just is a very different vibe. And I feel like they can utilize Mario characters in much more fun ways than they can with Zelda, which I also think maybe it's a choice to keep those characters a bit more serious, to keep those, I mean, aside from like Wand of Gamelon, right? Like we're keeping these characters to a standard versus throw them all in little go-karts and watch them, putt around.
Exactly.
So I just feel like that's why Mario is, I'm not going to say more influential, but recognizable. Like, absolutely.
There's so many entry points for Mario, exactly what Micah said. There's so many ways to enjoy the Mario world and the Mario characters besides just like the Mario games, That's so fascinating. And also, again, you want to talk about moving switches. Mario Kart 8, man. What are you talking about? Half of the people who have Nintendo Switch have Mario Kart 8. There's no other game out there that's like that.
That's not a pack-in. This is a game that people... Dude, has been $60 since release. Maybe discounted a few times here and there, but...
Yeah, down to $50.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an 11-year-old game, and it's still selling like crazy, and it's going to keep selling. It's going to get worse,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Dagan, how are you feeling about the Mario versus Zelda as the king of Nintendo? To me, this is, I don't know. It sounds like with Micah and Gene as well. This is like no contest. We love Zelda, we love Link, but Mario's king.
Yeah. I mean, everybody needs their poster boy, right? Disney needs their Mickey Mouse. Every media entity needs their icon, their mascot, that easily identifiable thing that just draws you back to the company and the product. I think in terms of legacy too, right? Like if you think back to Donkey Kong, Mario in that game, he was Jumpman, and he wouldn't become Mario proper, I think, until Donkey Kong Jr. in 1982 or 3, whenever that was. But if you just think back in terms of origins and Nintendo's introduction and their popularity and eventually catching fire, especially in the West, it really started with this character, right? So, and that giant gorilla, but especially this character. So in terms of legacy, he's so important, but also from a business perspective and just casting a really wide net in terms of appeal. You have to remember that Mario easily spans in both directions age-wise in terms of being identifiable, but also capturing the attention of all ages. Mario appeals to the youngest of kids, right? That whole hook 'em young thing, right? Where it's like, he's lovable, like everything Micah said. He's lovable, safe, colorful, accessible. Even from a visual standpoint, he's soft and he's round. Like he has it's interesting that so many people are in for Mario product, right? Because if you think about it, he's very preschool. He embodies everything about a preschool thing. He looks safe. It looks gentle and cuddly and warm. And there's also a broadness about it where maybe he feels a little bit like a friend or an uncle or a dad. There's a benevolence to him, where Link, Nintendo's always it kind of handles all their IP with kid gloves as far as not making them too dangerous and sort of making them approachable and accessible. But Link is it skews a little older. It's harder edge. He has a sword, right? We talked about Mario with a sword, maybe why we never saw Ninja Mario. So that's there. It's like a point of entry, but I think because it has that Mickey Mouse sensibility, it becomes beloved into adulthood. I mean, Mario really has to be, at least the modern iteration of Mario really had to stem from Mickey Mouse. You have to think about those two in the same breath almost. Except that, like Gene was saying, Mario's just a little more relevant. I mean, we have Illusion Island now, and we have the Mickey animated series on Cartoon Network in recent years, but there have been large gaps in time where Disney just kind of throws Mickey to the wayside. It just becomes the three balls. Sorry. And that's as much as we'll see of him for decades, but Mario is always relevant. And I think that's why, at some point in time, a couple of decades ago, it became more identifiable globally than even Mickey Mouse, which is astounding. That's not that wasn't a thing dating back to like the 30s. So pretty incredible.
Shout out to our boy Mario, still hanging in there, more relevant than ever. I've always been a Mario above Zelda guy, but I love them both. So
me too.
But yeah, I think it makes sense for Nintendo to hold on to him as the man, the boy. So great.
Yeah, I like Zelda better. Don't get me wrong. I like Zelda games better, but Mario games are really something else. And that's why I say super. Don't count Super Mario Wonder out in the Game of the Year awards, man. This is a Mario game. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
Once Nintendo is actually trying for a Mario game, watch out.
Yes. Amen.
Our last question comes from Simon Andrew Levi Freeman. You got to get rid of one of these. You got to
just too many names, bro.
Yeah,
that's way too greedy.
Please pick 2, 3 max if you want to sound fancy on your Facebook profile to people or something like that.
What's his name again? Let me see if we can do an acronym.
Simon Andrew Levi Freeman.
Just South.
Yeah. Simon's getting
Sexy
roasted
Alf.
for no reason. All he's trying to do is write into a Nintendo show that he likes, and we're making fun.
All right, Sal, what do you got?
Hey, Punchaholics! With Tears of the Kingdom being such an immersive game and having all these other good games come out literally every other platform right now, how do you recommend balancing gaming time between the different titles? This is a question that's been coming up a lot recently. I think Ben and I answered something about this on our Colin, and I think maybe we've talked about it on Sacred, but I think it's worth bringing up here too, is just that as the hardcore gamers, we have a lot of stuff that we want to play at different times, and it is tough to juggle. But the way I recommend is that I don't try to have two games of the same genre going on at the same time. I can handle Armored Core and Baldur's Gate, but if I throw in Starfield into that mix, then Baldur's Gate's got to go for a little bit. Maybe not forever, but it's got to be put down gently, just for a little bit. But yeah, I recommend that. And sometimes also I save games for different times of the day. Baldur's Gate is my unwind. It's, 11:30. I'm going to play for an hour and a half, kind of chill out into the night. I don't want to play Armored Core where I'm like, white knuckle gripping the controller in intense moments right before bed. I don't like to. I like to kind of ease into something a little more relaxing. But Gene, I'll throw this to you first, since I know you're probably balancing more than any of us at one time. How do you deal with that?
I don't deal with it very well.
you just don't. Yeah.
Yeah. I you make a great point. I don't really try to play the same genre either. I think I would go insane if I try to play Baldur's Gate 3 and Starfield at the same time. So I prioritize Starfield, right? Because it's just like the bigger Xbox. It just has a lot more meaning to the industry, even though Baldur's Gate might be the better game. So yeah, I try not to do that. Like if I was playing Starfield or Baldur's Gate, I'd probably be balancing out with like a brawler. The TMNT Shredder's Revenge DLC is out. Cool. So I think I'm probably going to be balancing Starfield with that, and maybe probably go back to a little Vampire Survivors too. Sometimes I just like to just really drill in and focus on one game, but then other times, like my ADHD just really kicks in, and I'm literally hopping between like 3 or 4 games within like an hour or two, which is crazy. I hate that, but sometimes I just really want to like try different flavors for a little bit. It's kind of like, sorry to get crude, but it's kind of like when you're like looking for like a good porn to watch, and you're like trying to like determine like what you're in the mood for, and you're like, oh, maybe I just want like a little softcore thing, just harken back to my young teenage days and just like relive those days. But maybe I just want like a really, really dirty gangbang, So I think like Starfield might be the gangbang, and like TMNT might be like the softcore Playboy.
Something to help you remember a better time. Maybe.
Yeah, the good old days, like the brawler, right? Yeah. Like the old Playboy videos, VHS tapes, and the videos that had like a lot of like bloom on the fucking camera. Yeah, and you're just like, well, I can barely see the girl. Sure. What's wrong with the camera? Anyways, this is a whole rant by saying, I definitely try to diversify my porn and my games. Apparently.
Very good. Yeah, that's it's important to balance all things in life.
Yeah.
Micah, how do you balance different games?
Yeah, definitely agree about genre. Trying to stick to like one big story game at a time, one JRPG at a time. I'm definitely not running 2 of those at the same time. Like that's just impossible for me. My general like go-to is I'm going to be running like a large story focused game, something that's going to take, 40 hours plus. I'm only going to play one of those at a time, and then have something, I don't want to say mindless, but something I don't have to focus on story, such as Vampire Survivors. That's not a mindless game, but just something that I don't have to focus on story or dialogue. I'm just, enjoying the actual gameplay itself. Call of Duty is another one that would fit in there for me I'm not in the mood for a story. And I just mean, obviously the multiplayer. But it's just one of those things of, I really try and just shift between different feels for games, and also just only keeping like one large narrative adventure going at a time. I used to be pretty crazy and I would play like one game per platform at a time. So I'd have something going on Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation. I don't really have the time for that anymore. And also just, sharing a space with someone else, it's just not as feasible. We have, another TV to use, but it's like, oh, I want to spend time with Colin. So I don't want to go play Xbox, in another room for several hours. I want to play Switch instead. So that does help me focus more on actually finishing games in a more efficient manner. But sometimes I do miss, more rapidly switching between titles, for example. But like right now, I'm playing Sea of Stars. I do want to get back to Borderlands 3 on Xbox. So I have like a couple different things going right now. And then Vampire Survivors. All very different. Borderlands 3, you could call that a big story game. It's really not to me, though, because the story is weird and very loose. And I don't know. It doesn't compare to me actually trying to keep track of what's going on in like a JRPG. So I'm more so, definitely agree with you guys in terms of separating the genres of games, but then also like the length of games, playing, a long game alongside a shorter one. That's another go-to for me because otherwise you start to feel like I'll never finish anything if I'm playing 2 80-hour games at the same time. I need to play a game that's 50 hours and a game that's 20 hours. And then I'll feel more accomplished when I actually like finish one of those along the way.
I couldn't play Octopath Traveler and Final Fantasy 13 at the same time.
Oh man,
No.
I felt bad leaving Octopath behind, but I really, really wanted to like replay FF13. So I was like, gotta sacrifice Octopath again. I think I might actually just go straight to Octopath 2 because everyone keeps telling me that's just so much better. So it's like,
at this point, you got a taste for it, right? Yeah. Like you have an appreciation for Octopath 1.
I'm halfway through Act 3, so it's like I definitely have seen like a lot of the game. I still want to beat it though, It's like a sense of pride, It's definitely like how that's one thing Colin and I are very similar in is that like we like to like earn our ways up to the game. And I think I know some people think that's weird to Colin, but it's like I feel the same way too. I feel like if I don't want to play the part 2 unless I really understood part 1, even though the story doesn't make any sense. I want to understand the design decisions that went into part 2.
Yeah, I get that.
But at the same time, though, I think I got what Octopath 1 was about, and maybe I could go into Octopath 2. But
I would feel like that. I mean, you've gotten enough experience with it to certainly judge Octopath 2 now in comparison to the first game. Yeah, that's going to be your most important point because it's all new characters. That's the best part about those games. It's like it's an all new story. Yeah. So
and the story
if you want to leave it, I think you'd be fine.
The story has started to like not really engage me in Octopath 1. Like it's gotten to the point where I'm just skipping dialogue, and it's like once you get to that point, it's like, oh, that's dangerous. Like you've already lost me.
Yeah. Dagan, how are you managing multiple games? Because right now, I mean, you've got Halo going for Knockback, you've got Final Fantasy going on for Knockback, you've got Alan Wake going on. There's there's a lot going on for you, man.
It is. I find I'm a procrastinator, so I find if I force myself to start early, like with Halo 3 and Final Fantasy 4 now, I don't really need to be off to the races with those two, but I just find that it just saves me a bit of time in the end when it comes down to crunch time, especially, or if I fall behind. I think I love the sort of rule of thumb of going by, playing one game in one genre at a time, at least. That's really cool. I think that's really thoughtful. I try to do something similar to Micah where I'm always juggling at least 2 games. So I try to, as a rule, just implement some sort of thing where it's like one game's a little less demanding just in time, just in the terms of time-wise, and one may be a 15, 20, 25, 40-hour game. That's always manageable. I don't get too nervous or anxious if I do that. Play one that's a little lower rent in terms of my schedule. It's hard because being an animator, there's really no such thing as 40-hour week. It's at least 50 hours. So I have that to contend with. And then I think just also finally coming to it's like AA, right? It's like coming to acceptance. Like my backlog is just going to continue to grow. It's inevitable. And just at least take comfort in the fact of like knowing that, accepting it, and just I'm going to die someday with a huge video game backlog, but let me try to chip away at least the ones that are important, create some sort of hierarchy in terms of what I think I'm going to enjoy and what I want to tackle next. And then like you guys are saying too, it's kind of smart. Like we're not tied. I don't have an iron ball on my ankle. I'm not tied to a game. If I don't enjoy it, I could fall out of it and start something else. Maybe I'll come back to that game. maybe I'll never play it again. So you got to kind of remain fluid a little bit. But yeah, you know, so for me, I ultimately, if it gets aggravating or if I start to get stressed out and having to do a show about a game, I just always come back to the fact that that's really sort of decompression time, enjoyment time, and just staying in tune with enjoying it. You know what I mean? Because if it becomes stressful, it defeats the whole purpose. So you just got to avoid that sort of trap. But yeah, man, you know, it always works out. It always works out. You always find a way. Just employ a little strategy, and then the other side, just go with the flow. Just adopt two philosophies and just go with it.
Yeah. There's just so many games out there. You gotta pick and choose. You won't be able to play everything unless you quit your job and I don't know, maybe figure out some way, live off the government, live off someone else's hard work. Maybe that's a good option. I should consider that actually. That would be great. So, but that's it for this episode of Punching Up.
When I was unemployed after college, I was actually living out of my friend's garage, and that was when I played probably the most games. You know, so much Dreamcast, so much like PS2. Oh, what a great time that was!
That's a great era.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go around one last time for any closing comments or concerns, whatever you want to say. Really, this is the time to do it. I'll go just down the line here. Micah, closing comments.
My closing comment is that ketchup belongs on fish and chips. I didn't get to say that at the time. No tartar sauce here. Cocktail sauce is good too, but ketchup belongs on fish and chips.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. I'm not into fish and chips or ketchup, so it's just kind of a moot point.
I feel like that's the least controversial food take you've ever had.
What? My least controversial? Least controversial. For Micah. Yeah, that's true.
Not a bad one for Micah.
Yeah.
I didn't know you didn't like ketchup either. I don't like ketchup either.
Really?
Yeah.
Get into the ketchup.
I don't like the taste of it. It's too sweet. It's just like, you know.
Yeah. I like barbecue sauce though, so you probably don't like that either. If it's too sweet.
I actually do love barbecue sauce. That's different.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. People try to be like, oh, barbecue sauce is made out of ketchup. Like it's different. It's different enough.
The smoke.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to ketchup itself, but I just don't like it by itself, you know. I guess I am opposed to ketchup by itself. That's what it is. So.
Yeah. Dagan, any closing comments?
No, just gonna go drink a ton of coffee. Go do
Hell
a little
yeah!
bit
I
of
need
painting.
more. I've had 2 cups today, but I'm ready for
2 already.
Round.
All right, 2 is good. 2 is good for this time of day, but it would be, 2 by 12:30. Yeah, that's okay. That's acceptable. But I'm only 1 deep. You know what's crazy though? You realize you're addicted to the coffee, and it's the caffeine. If I don't have enough, I start to get the headache. And I'm like, why am I getting a headache? I don't get headaches because I didn't have enough coffee yet. So I'm caught in this thing where I know it's not good for me, but I can't stop. I can't do it. I'm not going to stop.
No, me neither. Absolutely not. It's worth whatever suffering that comes along with it. But Gene, any closing comments from you for this episode?
Caffeine. Caffeine always makes me sleepy. But it's always been like that though, like cokeheads will always talk about, I can't go to sleep. I go to sleep like a baby on coke, no problem. But I can sleep no problem. But like uppers make me really tired, so caffeine also makes me really tired.
You don't drink coffee then, Gene?
I don't really drink coffee.
Oh,
the only reason why I'll drink coffee is because I'm on a date and they want to fucking drink coffee, so I'll drink coffee with them. That's a compromise. I don't hate coffee. I enjoy some of it. I actually prefer iced coffee over anything else.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Never really been into hot coffee, so I'll even drink iced coffee like during the winter, no problem.
Dude, iced coffee in the winter and hot coffee in the summer. Fuck it. I never cared about that. I'll stand outside in 85 degrees and drink a hot coffee.
See, that's too much. You're killing me with that.
Yeah.
That's like smoke. When I used to smoke cigarettes, I couldn't do it in the heat.
Couldn't
do it if it was hot outside. In the air conditioned building, I would do it illegally.
Smoking in the winter though is the best though, because there's extra like smoke and clouds coming out of your fucking mouth. So it's like this is like before vaping this is like natural vaping. You're just like puffing out
natural
clouds.
Vaping.
Yeah, you just feel like even more. You just feel even more powerful as a person.
You're like a dragon.
Yeah, like a dragon. Yakuza like a dragon.
Like a dragon.
Got nothing else to say. Keep an eye out for my story with Doug Bowser on Tuesday in the Washington Post, and
that's awesome.
See you next episode where I'll be hosting.
Yeah. Look forward to that. I will not be here, so enjoy yourselves, guys. I'm sorry. I'll be in a better place, though. Not dead, but I'll be in Japan, so I'm very...
Are we going to fill the chair or what?
That's up to you. That's up to you guys.
I wonder.
That's totally up to you guys. You guys can discuss, but don't bring in anybody too good, so I had to lose my my spot on the show. That's my only...
We got Reggie Fils-Aimé.
No, dude. That would be sick.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Maybe
so
I'll ask someday. Maybe I'll ask,
That would, dude.
Oh my God.
Make it happen, Gene. Make it happen. But yeah, thanks everybody for listening. Of course, thanks to our patrons out there on patreon.com/laststandmedia. And if you enjoyed this show on free feeds, I said it earlier, so I won't go over the whole spiel again, but check us out and leave a comment and a review, all that good stuff. Subscribe on Last Stand's Patreon account. We appreciate it. And yeah, we'll see you in a fortnight, or you'll see these guys in a fortnight. So until next time, goodbye. Punching Up, a Nintendo podcast, is a product of Last Stand Media and Colin's Last Stand LLC, and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show is written and produced by me, Dustin Furman. My co-hosts are Gene Park, Dagan Moriarty, and Micah Watson. The show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. Punching Up, along with the rest of Last Stand Media shows, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest tier, and we're grateful for your kind contributions and generosity to our independent endeavor. Thank you.